right, everybody, here we are. Myself, Mike Valentine, the Cleat Geek, and of course, you know my buddy Cheese. He's right here with me, and we are together again for Lights Out Sports. We're going to be doing so much today. We haven't done one of these in a couple of weeks because we were doing some of the watch-alongs and stuff like that, which, by the way, we enjoyed and you guys enjoyed, so we certainly appreciate that. But today, we are back with Lights Out Sports. Cheese, how's your week been, buddy?
Been busy, but it's been a productive week. How has Mike's week been? It was hard to say.
Don't get a ticket in Arizona.
Oh no! What happened?
I got a speeding ticket a few weeks ago, and then I got it postponed, and then you can do it if you only play part, and then you do like a driving course kind of thing. And so, of course, no, I don't want to pay for the whole thing. I want to do the driving course, right? So Nobody told me the driving course had to be done a week beforehand, and it was just a big mess. So I got a continuance on it, and then I took it yesterday while I was trying to prepare for all of this. And it's one of those things where I didn't know it was going to take me 5 hours to do the course. So I don't know. I was beating my head against the wall listening to
Did you use your card? Look, I'm in law enforcement kind of myself. Did you kind of use that, or did you apparently not.
Don't make me divulge what happened, because what was on the ticket it wasn't really what happened. All right, so let's just move on. Okay,
let's move on. Let's talk about sports.
Don't get a speeding ticket in Arizona.
We didn't rehearse this, so I had no idea about the tickets. So we did not rehearse this at all.
Oh, man. I tell you what, before you get me into some trouble, I think we should just do the walk-up music and be done, all right?
Sounds good.
Are you ready? 20 seconds start now. Ten seconds remaining. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Not dancing this time? Are you praying instead of dancing this time?
I'm contemplating. You got some good questions. I'm contemplating. Plus, I'm about to be thrown some questions that I have never been asked. We always start the show that way. So I have to contemplate. I have to mentally prepare.
All right, guys. So we are going to get started right here with the Lights Out Sports podcast. Myself, Mike Valentine, and of course, my buddy Cheese. Cheese, why don't we just do it right away? Why don't we just go ahead and plug it, buddy? What is your YouTube channel? Go ahead.
No, I was going to plug it throughout the night, but yeah, we can plug it now. I'll do it.
Sure.
I'll keep doing that throughout the night. But yes, at Football with Cheese. Cheese spelled CHEEZ, like you see on the screen. Yes, follow, subscribe, follow my X, but subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Follow X is at Football Cheese, basically the same thing without the with. So follow me on X as well.
And you know what? I'm kind of doing this because it's reminding me to do the same thing, right? People tell me all the time, you do the entire show and you never say a word about your YouTube channel. You never do anything for yourselves. You're always plugging everybody else's stuff, but you never plug your own stuff. So you can go over to my own personal Facebook. This is being done live on it. It's being done on Cheese's YouTube channel, which he just plugged. We're not going to let him plug it again. And then you can go to our X account, which is the entire X account. It has the picture right back here. You can kind of see on the screen behind us. We are now part of All Gloves Off Sports Media. So you can go to that on X. That exact account is, of course, All Gloves Off SM. You can go there, All Gloves Off SM for that. and then our YouTube page as well. That is All Gloves Off Sports Media too. So lots of different places you can go and catch us at. And we're going to be on more stuff as we get going here, as we get everything with All Sports Off or All Gloves Off Sports Media, excuse me. We will be on some of the audio only platforms and everything else. So give us a little bit of time. We're really going to get this thing rocking. We appreciate each and every one of you who are with us every single time. But for those of you who are new, Cheese knows how we're getting ready to start this show. It is the 5 Flamin' 5 in 5. We give Cheese 5 minutes, 5 questions. And if he doesn't get all 5 of them answered within that 5 minutes, his place will burn the flames.
I will be decapitated.
All
People
right.
will come to the house and decapitate me.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Live right here on Lights Out Sports. There will be nothing better than that, by golly. So
it's just, it's good podcasting.
It is. But I don't want to see anything bad happen to you. So hopefully you can get all 5 of these in the 5 minutes. So we're going to start you off with a college football, go to the NFL, MLB, back to a Packers actual question, and then something that's more broad at the end. So it will be a good flaming 5 in 5. The countdown will start once I read the first question. Cheese, are you ready?
No.
Remember when we said good podcasting a few moments ago? Remember that?
Well, you said a Packer question. I'm going to talk for 3 minutes on that one. So, yeah, it's going to be – I don't know if I'll make it. I want to keep my head where it is. We'll see. Let's go.
Okay. We'll see. Here we go, buddy. First question is this. Is Ohio State, Miami, and Oregon the proper order for 1, 2, and 3 in the college AP Top 25?
So I know the coaches has Oregon second. So God, that's such a good question. You love the polls. I don't know if you love the polls, but you pay way more attention than I do. You really have issues, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yes, we will.
Where people are ranked. I don't. I really don't have a problem with the order. I think it's fine. I think any of those 3 teams should be the top 3, and I think it's fine.
Okay. And as Cheese said, we will talk about this. And remind me when we do, I'll tell you why I pay attention and why I think it's so important. We'll get to that. Right. Second question, sir. Jacksonville quarterback Trevor Lawrence turned 26 yesterday as they won their game over the Kansas City Chiefs. But it seems he's starting to put everything together. But is it too late for Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence?
Well, this season has gone well for them. They are 4-1. We'll see what happens. I think the main reason they're 4-1 is because they forced so many turnovers. They lead the league in forced turnovers. And obviously, they're pretty good. They're better than I thought, but I still don't think they're a true contender. And if you watch my videos, I know you have, Mike, I'm not a big fan of Trevor Lawrence. I think he's too inconsistent. He'll make some great throws. He'll make some terrible throws. He puts his receivers in harm's way too much, and I just don't think he's the guy. And no one is putting him in a top 15 quarterbacks. No one has him in top 15 quarterback. And you have to have a top 15, probably top 10 to win the Super Bowl. So we'll see how this season goes, but no, I don't think he's the guy.
He is pretty good at falling down twice and then scoring a touchdown, though. I'll give him that. So the third question.
Aaron doesn't watch.
Which is more important in the Major League Baseball playoffs? Now, this is once you get to the playoffs. Is it good offense, good starting pitching, or a good bullpen, Cheese? Which one's more important?
It's bullpen. I keep on saying that, but it's become such a shorter game. Starters get taken out in the second inning. 4 innings is like good for a starter now. So if you have a deep bullpen that misses bats, that gets strikeouts, then you are in great shape. Obviously, you have to score runs. You have to have good starting pitching, sure. But the teams with the better bullpens, I feel like that's that's more important. And I think that's crazy because 30 years ago, you had to have 2 or 3 good guys in bullpen. That's it.
All right, so we're going to be basically 2 minutes here. So you got 2 questions left, a minute apiece. Here's your Packers question. The Packers designated wide receiver Christian Watson from the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list today. How important will he be for the team moving forward?
He's very important. When he's out there, they're a better offense. He is 6'4", 4.3 speed. He's been inconsistent. He's been hurt a lot. But when he's out there, you have to know where he is because of his size and his speed. And there's so many times where Matt LaFleur just uses him as a decoy, just sends him deep, and it sets up everybody else. So once he's back, the offense will be even better. It's been tremendous offense so far this season.
All right, sir.
We got time.
Yeah, I think you do. You got more than a minute for the last one. Now, this is kind of a broader question, and when you get this, which I hope you do, because I want to talk about this more, here we go. Can you have too much talent on a team? Let me give you 2 examples. The Dodgers had to leave Kershaw off on the first round of the playoffs, and this time they left off Michael Conforto because they have too much talent. And then talk about the Eagles in the NFL, where you've got Saquon, you got Smith at receiver, you got Brown at receiver. There's only one ball. Is there too much talent on certain teams?
It can happen. It definitely can happen, especially wide receivers. They want their targets. So absolutely could happen. A.J. Brown's not happy. Eagles were a great example. Very good, Mike. That was a great example. And teams are trying to take him away, and he's frustrated. And Devontae Smith had a much better game this past week. And the Dodgers, yeah, it's tough with starting pitching, but Kershaw should have been on the roster because their bullpen is a problem. That's the one thing that could sink the Dodgers, the bullpen. So I just think the Dodgers was dumb to leave Kershaw off and see.
Ooh, scene. Listen to that. All right. Ooh, so yeah, I wanted to kind of get to this last question. I'm glad you got all this because I wanted to talk more about this. You know, so I understood, and we talked about it during the watch along that we did for the Reds-Dodgers game. So I understood why the Dodgers didn't put Kershaw on there. He had just pitched a couple days before that series started, and he wasn't really going to do much. But then as we were watching the game, there was a perfect opportunity for the lefty to come in, especially against the Reds, because they don't do well against lefties. And they left the lefty off the roster. Now, again, I also know that Kershaw's not had great success in the postseason. So do you think maybe that played a part in it?
I doubt it. Maybe it's his age and he's just not as good as he used to be. And I don't know. It's tough decisions. They are a deep roster. There's no doubt about it. It's the Dodgers. They have all the money in the world. Spend their deep roster. Someone has to be left out. But I think they told him, look, you're not, we're going to use you later. Just this series, we're going to leave you out. But if they had lost, that would have been it. He would not have pitched this postseason if the Reds would have won the series. So it's a risk. But yeah, I don't know.
It almost would have been blasphemous, though, if they would have lost the. I mean, really, think about that. You brought up a great point. What if they would have lost that series and they play a playoff series and Clayton Kershaw, the guy who's been with them for 18 straight seasons, without going to another team, does not get to pitch in that playoff series? How crazy would those fans have went?
Especially if they brought in a pitcher like in Game 3, like an extra innings that blew it. They needed a lefty and they were out of lefties. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if they had Kershaw, he could have pitched the extra innings or something like that.
Right. Alex Vesey, he can only pitch that guy for so many times, man. Yeah. Their bullpen's not good.
They played well. It's terrible.
All right.
You saw they almost blew it the other night.
Yeah. So. And they almost blew it again last night. I was watching Monday Night Football. I was doing the baseball thing at the same time. I have a thing where I can split the screen, and I was watching both, and then I was trying to take that crazy test because I got the speeding ticket on the way home and all of that. So I was multitasking to the max last night. So yeah, a little crazy. So let's go to the football side, right? I think there's 2 teams right now. So one of them their receiver's not back yet, but I think once he does, they may have a problem. But right now, I think it's the Eagles, right? There's just that team is so talented. They have so many players on that team. There's only one ball, right? How do you satisfy everybody, keep everybody happy without people going to the media and saying crazy stuff like they need the ball, like what Brown is doing?
Well, they won the Super Bowl last year. It
doesn't seem
wasn't
to
an
matter.
issue. Well, it wasn't an issue, at least that I know of. It might have been behind the scenes, but they went 14-3 and they won the Super Bowl. But there were games where the Eagles got ahead early and didn't throw much.
Mm-hmm.
And A.J. Brown hardly had any targets. And there's some games where he just tore up because he's a really, really good player. But the Eagles are a run-first team. They have Jalen Hurts that can run anytime. They have Saquon Barkley. That's their offense, especially when they get ahead. But this year they've been in a lot of close games. And I think they've tried, especially after week 1, to throw more. But it's still not resulted in enough targets, I think, for A.J. Brown. If you take away the second half against the Rams, he has not been a factor in hardly any of their games. Like, he went off in that second half. But other than that, yeah, he hasn't been a huge factor. And the Eagles are a mess. They're 4-1, but they're a mess.
Messiest 4-1 in the world, aren't they?
They've been not outscored. They've been out yardaged. Okay, let's put it this way. They're outgained. There you go. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
In every game,
yes,
their opponents have gotten more yards in every single game.
Mm-hmm.
They're 30th in yards per game out of 32. They're 31st in passing, 25th in rushing. The reason they're 4-1 is talent, but it's also they don't turn the ball over. They have 1 turnover all year.
Okay.
And they've won close games, and the Rams completely imploded. Rams were beating them 26-7 loss. So they're lucky to be 4-1, but they are a mess. And a lot of it's on that offense. They just do not move the ball. Against the Broncos, where they had a 17-3 lead, they scored 0 points their last 5 drives and got 3 first downs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, fans, we're going to be doing a top 10 at the end. Top 10 NFL teams right now. Now, I don't know how Cheese did his top 10 right now, but I literally took the whole right now into consideration when I did my 10 teams. It took me about an hour to figure out how I was going to do this, and I looked up stats. And again, I don't know how Cheese is going to do it exactly, but I've got stats galore, and there's reasons why some of these teams are where they are. And most of you are probably going to be surprised, at least I think, from where my rankings are and who's in the top 5. So
real quick, I just want to, you use stats, right? You looked up stats. I looked at my notes. I didn't look at stats or analytics at all. I looked at my notes and the eye test, because I cover all the teams. I rewatch a lot of games. Mine was all eye test, nothing statistical at all.
It'll be interesting because I bet our lists are going to have basically the same teams, but they probably won't be in the same order. So we'll be able to go through and look at that here. That'll be at the end of the show. Our week 6 top NFL teams right now. And then at the end of our college football segment, which we're getting ready to start here in just a segment, we're also going to do our first Heisman watch of the year. So we'll do our 3 Heisman candidates right now, and then each of us kind of have an underdog guy. I'm really interested to hear who your underdog guy is, and I think you're going to be surprised at mine. So we'll see. We got a lot of people on here with us right the moment. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and get into our college football spread offense. If you're ready and all.
Let's go.
There it is. All right, guys, we're going to do it. College football spread offense. Here's the way this will go. man, I've got a lot of picking on the AP Top 25. We'll get to that right away. Then we'll look at some different teams. We're going to look at the biggest losers, the biggest winner of last week, what games we're looking forward to this week, and then, as we've already said, at the end, we're going to do our first Heisman watch of the season. Should be interesting, so here we go. All right, we'll let the music play in the background for a moment. Here are my AP Top 25 questions. We're going to start it off this way. This is week 7, of course, of the college football season. 8 of the 25 preseason teams are no longer ranked. That's right, 8 of them are no longer ranked. Here's the list. Number 1, Texas, no longer ranked. Number 2, Penn State, no longer ranked. Number 4, Clemson, no longer ranked. Number 13, South Carolina, out the door. Number 15, Florida, not on the top 25 anymore. 16, SMU. 17, Kansas State. And number 25, Boise State. All of those teams were in the top 25 on the preseason poll, but none of them, absolutely none of them, are in the poll now. So, Cheese, here's my question. Should we even have a preseason poll?
You have to have a preseason poll. You need to know where your team stands. You need to have some kind of idea. If you don't have a preseason poll, it's kind of a free-for-all. You know, everyone's guessing. Then everyone will do power rankings. So you have to have some kind of poll. I know you don't like it, but you have to.
Well, it's not really that I don't like it. I think that the AP does it, and then they're really reluctant to kick some people out of the poll because they're almost married to their preseason poll, right? It's like when the GM goes out and trades for the big star, and then the big star comes on the team and doesn't do a whole lot, but yet they tell the coach, no, you're going to continue to start him. I don't care if he is only batting $135. You're going to, because I just traded for him. You're not going to make me look stupid. So continue to start that guy. And I think the AP poll kind of does the same thing, right? When they put Notre Dame in there and they get beat, and when they put, I mean, they just now kicked out Texas and Penn State, for God's sake. They're like, oh, well, we can't kick them out real early in the whole thing because we put them in the top 5, for God's sake. We'd look stupid if we kick them out early. So I just wish they wouldn't be so married to these teams they put in the preseason. I'm with you. I love the preseason poll. I love all the controversy that comes with it. But once you get into the season, it needs to be a little more realistic.
Well, the reason why Texas and Penn State didn't fall out so far was because who they lost to. They lost to 2 of the best teams in the country. When you lose to like a really good team, okay, maybe they're still good, but they just lost a really good team. Let's see what, let's see how they go going forward. So that is why, like, Texas lost by 7 against Ohio State. Penn State lost a very close game to Oregon. So the poll, they're going to give them the benefit of the doubt until they play, or they keep losing, or they lose to someone bad, like one of those teams did, really bad.
Well, both of them did this week, really.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when
Yes,
we talk
we
about
will.
biggest losers.
I'm sure we will. How about this, though? Should we just wait for the commissioner's poll? It comes out on Thursday.
Commissioner's poll. So if people do not know, commissioner's poll is based on performance only. Do you want to talk a little more about it? It basically takes, how do I say this? I'm trying to word this correctly. It's performance only. It's not where you were in the preseason. It's a poll based on how you play on the field, and not, are you in the SEC or Big Ten? Correct.
Okay, but I want to stop you right there. Shouldn't that be how the AP poll is? Shouldn't it be from week to week to week, and not, oh, well, we had Penn State at number 3. I know they got beat already, and we're only going to slide them down to 7. I mean, are you really going to tell me, Cheese, that last week Penn State was a top 10 team, and last week Texas was a top, I think they were 12. So you're really going to put Texas in the top 12 after Penn State beat no one. and Texas barely beat the people that they had on their schedule. I mean, I know they did do it, but they did not look good doing it. So you can't tell me they should be ranked that high. And that's what I'm getting at. Shouldn't you have dropped them down to 15, 18, something like that?
Well, no, the commissioner's poll should not be the poll because there is a thing called talent, unfortunately. And sometimes teams look so good early on, and then those teams they played turned out to be terrible. Like beating South Carolina early looked great. Now they're not good at all.
Okay,
So
I'll give you that.
I don't like the commissioner's poll. I mean, I like to look at it; it's interesting, but I don't think that should replace it. And I get what you're saying, but the poll rewards winning and not losing. Texas and Penn State had only lost once, so if you win a game and you play terrible and a couple lucky breaks score your way, you will probably move up or stay the same. A couple lucky breaks don't go your way, and you lose a close game, an overtime game, then you're dropping. You could drop 10, 15 out of the poll. They reward winning and not necessarily like how good you are.
So do you agree with Texas and Penn State both falling out of the AP top 25 this week?
Yes.
That was a quick answer.
Yes, absolutely. Those are terrible losses.
All right. So should either Texas or Penn State have been ranked in the top 15 the previous week then?
I mean, looking back, it looks like, yeah, of course they're going to say no. But I get why they were. Because of who they lost to. Texas lost on the road to Ohio State. Tough. Penn State, they did lose at home. They lose at home, but it's a very close game to Oregon, who's very good. So I get why they were still ranked in the top 15. The voters, like you said, they don't want to be wrong. They're like, okay, maybe they had a bad game. They lost a close game to a very good team. Let's not drop them down too much. I mean, Notre Dame has 2 losses. They're still what? They in the top 15?
Top 16, I believe.
16? Yeah. So because they lost to 2 very good, they lost to 2 current top 5 teams. So they try to give you the benefit of the doubt.
So what if I told you before the season, Cheese, that the SEC was going to have 2 teams in the top 5? Would you have agreed with that?
Yes.
Now, what if I told you that the 2 SEC teams that are currently in the top 5 are Ole Miss and Texas A&M? Would you have thought that?
No. Texas A&M, I probably could understand a little more than Ole Miss, but I would have been surprised by both of them probably.
Okay, so based on those 2 answers from you, does that mean that the SEC is weaker this season, or does that mean that the other conferences are stronger this season?
I don't think it makes the SEC weaker. I don't think it necessarily makes the other conferences stronger. I think that, I mean,
but it has to do one of the 2, doesn't it?
Well, Texas A&M beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame.
Okay.
That's a big win. They're undefeated. Ole Miss is undefeated. They got LSU at home, beat them. So SEC, it's deep. It's not as strong at the top as, say, the Big Ten, but it's the deepest conference. And what's going to happen is they're going to start beating each other up. They're going to start beating each other up. There's a chance that every team in the SEC has 2 losses. It could happen.
You said that the SEC is not as strong at the or no, you said the Big Ten is not as strong at the top as the SEC is. So Ohio State, Oregon, Illinois, Indiana is not as good as the top 4 SEC teams?
I said the opposite. I said the SEC is not as good as at the top. They're deeper.
So then you're going to say that the Big Ten is stronger at the top than the SEC is?
Yes, that's exactly what I just said. Yes.
All right.
SEC is
you
not
were
as
worrying
strong
me there
at
for a
the
minute.
top.
I thought I was going to have to go crazy on you.
No. It's not as strong at the top as the Big Ten, but I think it's a deeper conference, the Big Ten. And I think there are more teams, like unranked teams in SEC, that can beat you anytime. They're, Auburn, Mississippi State are not just easy games. Vandy, I don't know if they're still ranked, probably not, maybe. But
they are actually
none
number 20.
of these games are easy. They are still ranked. Okay. Yeah, they didn't drop much, but
no, they really didn't. Even though they lost to Alabama, they did not drop much.
Yeah, there's so many teams that can beat you. So I think I don't think SEC is weaker. I think it's just deep, and there's no Nick Saban in the prime Alabama type team. There's no Georgia from 3 or 4 years ago. There's no that one team is just so good, but it's a really deep conference.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, at the Big Ten towards the bottom, when it gets to Purdue, Northwestern, Nebraska, all of that, they're not going to challenge. I mean, they would lose to what, 80% of the SEC teams if you put those two up against each other. Even the weaker SEC teams will still beat those teams in the bottom of the Big Ten. So I get that. I think the SEC is deeper, but I also think, like what you said, the Big Ten is stronger up top. I think their first 4 or 5 teams are better than the SEC's first 4 or 5 teams. But once you get to that middle sections where the difference really lies in the two divisions.
I agree.
All right. How many one-loss SEC teams are above Missouri, and why? Why does the AP not like Missouri?
Well, there are 2 reasons why someone's not ranked high enough if they're undefeated. It's they were not ranked to begin with, or ranked a lot lower. There was no hype. So they usually you just move up a little. You don't just, unless you have some big win, unless you beat a top 5 team on the road or something, then you don't just jump up. But also Missouri really hasn't played anybody. The only game they played that had any chance to lose was South Carolina at home, and South Carolina is not as good as we. So Missouri hasn't played anybody. So that's what the doing the poll want to see. They want to see him play someone. And you there?
Yeah, I'm still here, buddy.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
It cut out for a second.
No, it's okay. I think I'm pulling up too many windows over here. I was opening up the window for looking at the AP top 25 and all of that. So, yeah, I mean, just for it, right? Just to, Missouri's ranked 14th. So you got Georgia Tech at 5-0 at 13, Tennessee, right? Here come all these one-loss SEC teams, right? Tennessee's 12, LSU is 11, Georgia's 10, and all of those teams are 4-1. Alabama's 4-1. So you've got all of those teams in front of 5-0 Georgia Tech and 5-0 Missouri.
They weren't ranked to start the year. That's why they weren't ranked to start the year. They're not going to give them credit. The Georgia Tech did beat Clemson, so at least they have the win. But Missouri really hasn't beat anybody, and they're not going to give them credit until they start beating people. It's just the way it is. But it doesn't matter what poll you are now. I'll say this. I've said this before. I'll say it again. It matters what the playoff thinks. The people deciding the playoff. I know you love looking at these polls. I don't even look at it until you give me the notes for the college football, and then I look at it, because it doesn't really matter until you get to the playoff.
But I don't think that's true, and I'm glad you did that, because I was going to forget to tell you why I think it's so important. I think it's so important for recruiting. I think it's so important for these kids, right? I mean, you're telling me that Alabama's kids they're twice as good as Missouri's kids, and I can't wait to see that game this weekend. By the way, we'll talk about that more in a moment. I don't know, there's a bias here. And you can say, oh, well, they weren't ranked in the beginning, or that's all that tells me is that they didn't get any credit from day one. If they weren't ranked in the beginning, that means they got no credit. Now, when the SEC teams start losing and they start dropping, which they should, and half the time they don't, then they're like, oh, it's almost like, well, Missouri, we're going to let you come in. We're going to let you play in the big boy yard today, but not real, you still out here on the fringes, right? Same thing with Georgia Tech. You're still out here on the fringes. We're going to let you be in the poll, but just, not real great in the poll. We're still going to let Georgia and Alabama and LSU and Tennessee, and we're going to let all these teams say they're better than you. What about BYU? BYU is 5-0 and they're 18th. Memphis is 6-0 and they're 23rd.
Because it's who you play and it's where you were to start the season. This is not a new thing. This has always been this way. This is the way it's always been done. The big schools, the ones that preseason hype, are going to be higher. It's just the way it's always been. It's blame it on the people voting. I don't know, but that's just the way it's always been.
All right, I'll get off my high horse now.
And the coaches poll, I've never seen the coaches poll and the AP poll disagree on so much. Like Texas and Penn State are still ranked on the coaches poll.
Yes.
Now I don't know the coaches poll. I don't know which one you like better, but coaches poll sometimes they call in favors. Maybe I don't know. But how about Virginia? They're 19th in the AP poll, but the coaches poll are 24th. The
Yeah.
AP thinks more of them. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are just very different. And actually, Oregon's second in the coaches poll, but
Mhm.
Miami's second in the AP. So there's some differences.
There are some differences in there, which is why I like to bring this up, why I like to talk about it. So let's do this one. Why is Alabama ahead of Texas Tech? Tech has beat everybody by 24 points. Every team they've played, they beat them by at least 24 points. They went into Utah and absolutely destroyed Utah. And then this past week, Houston was undefeated, came into Texas Tech, and Texas Tech just bulldozed them like snow in November. I mean, they just cleared a path with them. So why isn't Texas Tech getting more love and be ahead of a team like Alabama?
Well, first of all, I watched the Texas Tech Utah game. It was 13-10 with like 8 minutes to go. They didn't bulldoze them at all. It was a very close game, and Texas Tech kind of pulled away right at the end.
Okay.
So it was definitely not a slaughter. It was a very close game, but it's because it's Texas Tech, and even though they got a bunch of transfers and they have a lot more talent this year, they weren't hyped up to start the year. And it's Alabama, and Alabama won at Georgia. You mentioned Alabama a few times. They won at Georgia, and they're going to give that credit. Okay, they lost early, but they look better now. So, yeah, Texas Tech, they're teams like that you're just going to have to just keep staying undefeated and hope other teams keep losing.
All right. So the last thing I got here, I'll try to calm down a little bit off of this poll stuff. And of course, all of you guys that are out there listening, we've got close to 50 people with us already. So you guys can click on the comment up there in the top right-hand corner, and anything that we're talking about, you guys can talk about, and we'll put it right up here on the screen with us live. So here's my last thing. I've read this a lot. I've seen it on X. I've seen it on some of the other social medias that I'm on. People are wanting Oklahoma to be dropped down simply because they lost their quarterback. John, help me with the last name.
Mateer.
Okay. So he's out. It looks like he might play this coming Saturday. They're crossing their fingers for him.
He's trying to.
He's trying to, yes. But my thing to you would be, it's not a prediction poll. So no, until they lose, right? They should be either keep climbing or staying where they're at, right? Or do you disagree? Do you think that because they've lost this quarterback, they should automatically be dropped down in the poll?
No, I agree with you. They should not be dropped down at all. Doesn't matter. It's what they've earned so far. The ranking isn't how good they think you're going to be. It's where you are now. So they should stay. They did drop one spot. I get it. Texas A&M played really well, so they kind of switch with them, but they're sixth in the country. They should not move down. Absolutely not.
Okay. And then isn't it kind of it's almost more of a boost for them to not have their starting quarterback and continue to win games, right?
It might make them look better, but Mateer is off to a really good start. So, I mean, you want him back though. I mean, you want to win as many games as possible.
Of course.
Like I mentioned, the SEC is going to start beating each other up. It's going to be crazy. I would not be shocked if every SEC team has at least 2 losses.
Ooh, every SEC team has 2 losses.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Wow.
And you know what? Tennessee and Missouri have the easiest schedules left in the SEC. So Missouri has 0 losses. If they beat Alabama, it's at home, their schedule is not too hard. They do play Texas A&M, and they play one other pretty good team. I think they play Ole Miss, but other than that, they don't really play.
Ole Miss, 4th-ranked team in the country.
Yeah. Okay.
Team, right.
Well,
okay.
Yeah. You should see what South Carolina's schedule looks like. But I have 5 games versus top 11 teams left on their schedule.
Oh, that's brutal. That is brutal.
And they still have Clemson. I didn't even count Clemson, who was supposed to be good.
Yeah. And you never know. Maybe one of us has the Oklahoma quarterback in our Heisman watch here before it's all said and done. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I bet we don't have the Clemson quarterback.
I bet we do not. I bet we don't. Now let's give our fans a little preview. Do you have 3 quarterbacks in your top 3 Heisman watch people?
Perhaps.
perhaps. I'll let the cat out of the bag. I do not. I have two quarterbacks.
Okay.
All right. So we'll see how all this works out. So week 6. Let's look at week 6 biggest winners and losers. So I'll let you go with your loser first because I picked somebody who I don't think you're going to pick on purpose. So who's your week 6 biggest loser? Let's do that first.
Oh, this is so easy. Penn State. They lost a tough one to Oregon, but like you said, they didn't drop too far in the polls. They should be okay, but you have to win the games you should. And they go to UCLA, who was 0-4, who had been awful. Not bad. They were just awful. Their coach got fired. They were so awful. And they lose, give up 42 points on the road to an 0-4 team. Absolute disaster. And guess what? That new coach at UCLA, I don't even know his name. He's some blonde-looking, Norwegian-looking guy.
Yeah, he's pretty energetic. I'll give him that.
He has the same amount of top 5 wins as James Franklin, or top 10 wins. They have the same amount of wins versus top 10 teams.
That's terrible.
Yes, that is terrible. And he's coached 2 games. But no, Penn State, absolute disaster. Yes, they lost Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter, 2 of the best prospects in last year's draft, 2 really amazing rookies. I had both of my top 7 for the draft. Still, that is, I don't know. Can't lose that game. That's the easiest game on your schedule. Definitely the easiest road game.
And I don't know if you saw the post-game press conference with the UCLA coach. I happened to see bits and pieces of it. He basically said that he was so new at coaching, he kept mixing up the buttons, trying to talk to everybody. He'd try to talk to the offensive guy and would hit the defensive guy's button on his little mic thing. And he was like, I was so bad, I didn't even know which buttons were which. And I was like, oh, wow, that just really says something terrible that, James Franklin and the Penn State Nittany Lions come into your city. You're 0-4. The guy can't even use his equipment right and still beat you. So, yeah. Big time loss. Texas, of course, was a big time loss too. Go ahead, Cheese.
True. Well, no, yeah, just losing UCLA is worse than losing to Florida. At least Florida has talent. I know they're not very good, but at least they have talent. Who's your pick?
I think this might surprise you a little bit, but let me make my case. My biggest loser of last week was Boise State. Boise State had a chance to revitalize themselves, to come back and beat Notre Dame and put themselves back on the map. And they only scored 7 points. So let's see here. Boise State rushed for 100. They passed for 205. And Maddox Madsen, which is their quarterback, had no touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 4 sacks where he lost 33 yards in those 4 sacks. Just a terrible, terrible performance by Boise State, who I thought maybe if they would beat Notre Dame, had a chance to creep back into the bottom part of the top 25 and maybe give Memphis a run for that team outside the Big Four that would get into the college football playoff, but they completely blew it. So because of that, Boise State is my biggest loser of last week.
Okay. Yeah, they're not making the college playoff this year.
No, they're not making anything this year. They'll be lucky to make a bowl game.
Yeah, Ashton Gianti really carried them last year.
Yeah. And then the Raiders still can't win with him. So, all right. So let's go with the week 6 biggest winner. Who did you think, Cheese, was last week's biggest winner in college football?
Yeah, I'm going to go with University of Virginia.
Okay.
They came off that huge win against Florida State. Huge upset, overtime victory. Went to 4-1. They were ranked. And then they had to go to Louisville, which to me was their hardest road game on their schedule. And despite playing like shit in the fourth quarter, and they did, they got 2 defensive touchdowns in the game, and they were able to hang on and win another overtime game. So they are in great shape as far as the ACC goes. Their schedule, they have no ranked teams left. They don't play Miami. They don't play Clemson. They don't play Georgia Tech. They don't play Notre Dame. So their toughest game left is at Duke. But, of course, you think Duke's the best team in the country. But their schedule is so favorable going forward that they have a great chance to win 9 or 10 games. So, Virginia is my biggest winner, winning at Louisville.
Okay. And we talked about that game a couple weeks ago. We knew that was going to be a big game. I kind of thought Louisville would win, and they would propel themselves, kind of like I thought maybe Boise State would as well, but they ended up not. So they're in the same boat as Boise State. They're not going to any kind of conference championship or anything like that. They'll be lucky to make a bowl game. Well, they won't be lucky.
They're four. I mean, they have one loss. They only have one loss, but yeah, you got to win your home conference games. They're not going to be in the ACC title game. Yeah.
So I'm going to be a little bit of a homer here. A team that I have not mentioned, I don't believe yet, as we have been talking about college football stuff here for the past 6-8 weeks. But I'm going to mention them today as my biggest winner in Week 6. A Big 12 team. I'm really getting into the Big 12, by the way. I'm really liking this division. I wasn't sure if I was going to, but the ASU has kind of pulled me in, and now I'm really watching a lot of Big 12 games. And I watched this one, and it was a great game. My biggest winner, the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Okay.
The Cincinnati Bearcats rushed for 264 yards and passed for another 214. They were 1-1 in field goal attempts, and they were a complete team. You're going to hear this from me a lot as we do rankings and stuff like that later on. It's a complete team. That's what I like to do the rankings on, because a guy named Logan Wilson had 3 returns for Cincinnati, set them up great 3 different times. He had 3 returns for 93 yards. And all of a sudden, the Cincinnati Bearcats, just like the ASU Sun Devils and just like a lot of other Big 12 teams, 4-1 and 2-0 in the conference. So they have, by winning, set themselves up really nicely. Their quarterback, his name is, I got to pull this up here a little bit, Brandon Sorsby, 13 of 25, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. He is really improving, and you might hear his name later on in our program. So, I thought that Cincinnati was a huge winner over the weekend. What about yourself?
Yeah, that was a early game, and I had that on. You have 2 TVs set up. That was the second game I had on. I watched it. Iowa State could not get stops. Just whenever they needed a stop, they could not get it, and they were undefeated, and just a big game for them. They really needed that game. If they want to go to the Big 12 title game. So, huge win for Cincinnati. The Big 12, we mentioned the SEC knocking each other off. The Big 12 might do the same.
Yeah.
There's like 5 or 6 teams that are just like good, like top 20 caliber.
Mm-hmm. They really
We'll talk more about them some more in a second. We talk about this week's matchup.
Yes, we will. All right, let's move on to the next one. That is, what game are you most looking forward to in Week 7, sir? Go ahead and go first.
Well, I'm looking forward to Indiana, Oregon.
Okay.
There's no doubt about it. I want to see if Indiana's real. They whooped Illinois. Illinois' defense just could not do a thing. Indiana had their way. But the thing with Indiana last year was they played 2 really good teams, Ohio State and Notre Dame, and got beat comfortably by both
times.
Yeah. Yes. And they beat everyone else. Is it the same this year? Yes, they beat Illinois, but how are they going to do against Ohio State, Oregon, those kind of teams? So I'm really looking forward to seeing they're at Oregon, really tough place to play. God, this is one of those games like Oklahoma, Texas doesn't mean nearly as much because Texas is down this year. Still an important game. But I think you're going to mention this game, so I'm going to mention it anyway. I love when there's a good matchup on at 10 Eastern. There hasn't been this year. Like, I'm the guy that stays up and just watches the game till 1 or 2 in the morning if it's on.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad Arizona State at Utah is on. Both teams are 4-1, and Utah cannot lose this game. They already have 1 loss in conference. They lost to Texas Tech. So it's a big game. But sleeper game, Friday. I call this an elimination game. South Florida plays North Texas. And it's important because one team, at least one, non-Power 4 conference, makes the playoff. And these are 2 of probably the 5 teams with the best shot. The loser is probably out from making the playoff. The winner is probably in good shape.
All right. I want to mention this real quick before I forget. I want to thank everybody who has been following us on X we crossed the 7,500 mark over the weekend. So thank you all very much for following us. That is at All Gloves Off SM, as in sports media, on X. Thank you very much for doing that. 7,500 is a pretty big number, and we got over that this weekend. So thank you all for that. You're right. I am going to mention a couple of these, but you didn't mention one I thought you were going to mention. You did not mention Alabama at Missouri.
I didn't want to keep going. I mean, I didn't want to read the whole schedule. But now I didn't mention it, but I think you want to talk about it.
Well, yes, I'm going to look at that because this is Missouri's proving ground. I talked earlier, I was banging their drum for the AP Top 25 poll. They're either going to make me look really smart or really stupid this coming weekend. So it'll be interesting to see, and it is in Missouri, so Alabama has to travel to them. I think it'll be a very interesting game. I'm really looking forward to it. And like you said, so you've got...
You really want Alabama to lose that, don't you?
I really, really do. I mean...
The way you were talking about it earlier, I'm like, he just wants Missouri to win so bad.
I do. Aren't you tired of the same teams over and over and over again? I mean, I'm
no Alabama fan or anything like that, but I just, at this point, if I don't have rooting interest, I just want to see a fun game, and I don't want chaos when the playoff comes.
I don't mind chaos. I kind of like it.
No, I don't want chaos and controversy because then they keep changing it. Every time, oh, there was 2 and everyone hated 2. There's chaos. So let's go to 4. Okay, 4. Well, solve that problem. Oh, no, 4 didn't work. Let's go to 12. And if there's problems with 12, if there's like 5 teams that are 10-2 in the Power 4 and they pick an SEC and a Big 10, well, and they don't pick the ACC or Big 12, then, well, we need 16. We need 24. It's going to get insane. And then you're going to have a 1 versus 16. We have an undefeated team playing a 3-loss team, and that's ridiculous.
But that's why I love college football. I love college football because there is so will you agree with this statement with me? There is no dominant college football team this year.
No, absolutely. There's no team as good as the Georgia teams from 3 and 4 years ago, or as Michigan 2 years ago, or Ohio State last year. None of the teams this year are as good as any of those teams. It's more of a free-for-all this year.
Yeah.
So,
and it makes me watch more games because of it.
Well, whoever gets hot is probably going to win the national title. Whoever gets hot late in the year gets healthy. So there's a team right now that, probably ranked top 20, probably top 15 is probably going to win it. But maybe they're not playing great, but we're not really thinking about them. But they might click later on. Like maybe LSU,
like Missouri.
Offense. Like Missouri. Maybe LSU, all of a sudden their offense becomes good. Probably not. But maybe they'd click later on because they do have a good quarterback. So you never know.
Right. And then you mentioned it. I'm going to mention the other half of it. There are some really good Big 12 games this weekend. And I think we're going to really start to see, we all know who's number 1 in the Big 12, right? Texas Tech is the top dog in the Big 12. And I don't think there's much argument about that. But we're going to get some more clarity on who the 2nd and the 3rd and the 4th team is and where they should kind of be ranked in the progression. Because you're going to have number 18 and undefeated BYU is at 4-1 Arizona this weekend. And then you've got, as you mentioned, the 4-1 ASU Sun Devils are traveling to the 4-1 Utah Utes. So you're going to kind of figure out over these next few weeks. Wait till you see. If you want to see a brutal schedule, look at ASU's schedule over the next 3 and 4 weeks. It's, we're going to know if they're good or not here before it's all said and done. So, and I think,
wow.
Yeah. Did you look at it?
Yeah. I mean, it gets easy at the end. They get West Virginia and Colorado at the end, who are not very good this year.
Yeah. But go ahead and tell everybody who they got the next 3 weeks.
So they've already played like Mississippi State, Baylor, TCU. Now they got at Utah, Texas Tech at home, Houston at home, at Iowa State is their next. That's brutal. It is brutal, but I got to bring up while we're mentioning schedules.
Okay.
South Carolina. Hold on.
Go ahead.
I had it. South Carolina's schedule.
We're getting ready to do our Heisman watch here, and I'm excited for this first one. I think it'll be interesting to see who each of us have picked, especially for our underdog guy.
Here's the schedule for South Carolina remaining. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
At LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, at Ole Miss, at Texas A&M, Clemson.
They're all like top 10 teams.
They're not going to be favorite. No, 5 straight 11 top 11 teams. LSU's 11th, Oklahoma 6th, Alabama 8th, Ole Miss 4th, Texas A&M 5th, and then Clemson. They won't be favored in that game either.
Yeah, but they might be on. They'll probably be on prime time every week. I mean, they might get beat every week, but they're at least going to be on prime time because of who they play.
They're going to have a losing record. It's bad.
Yeah,
it's just and they were ranked top 15 to start the year, but they are. Let me see what the record is. Yeah, that's the conference record. What's their overall? I can't find it. Oh, here it is. They're 3-2, but yeah, they might go 4-8.
All right. So I'm going to put a little music in the background here as we do our Heisman watch for the first time. All right. So,
all right.
Do you want to do 3-1 or do you want to do 1-3?
Let's do 3-1.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll do our. This is if we were voting. You want to go first?
Go ahead,
I'll go first. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Number 3, I have Dante Moore.
I had the music up too loud. I drowned you out. So I had to flip it off real quick. I apologize.
Number 3, I have Dante Moore. He's the quarterback for Oregon. Been somewhat of a surprise. No one really expected him to be, up there, but he's been tremendous all year. And yeah, I have him 3rd. What about you? Who's your number 3?
I've got a guy from the U at number 3. He has impressed me. I did not think he would be on this list whatsoever, but I did put him at number 3. His name's Carson Beck. You're gonna hear me do this with everything we're gonna do on all these countdowns. Here comes all my stats. Right, here we go. So Carson Beck has 1,213 yards, 11 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. His QBR rating is 84.4, and his completion rating is 73.4%. So pretty good numbers for a guy from the U. Carson Beck, who's my number 3. Who's your number 2, Chiefs?
My number 2 is a quarterback from Indiana. His name is Fernando Mendoza.
Interesting.
He's athletic. He's got an arm. He was tremendous against Illinois. I really want to see the Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza. They're going against each other, my 2 and 3.
Yes.
Another reason I'm looking forward to this. I am not sure who's going to be the top quarterback taken in the draft, but I have a feeling it might be Fernando Mendoza.
Wow, there's some breaking news for you. Fernando Mendoza might be the top quarterback taken in the draft.
I'm moving him up. Every time I see him, he just kind of moves up my board.
Very, very interesting. Well, my number 2 guy is not a quarterback. I don't think he will get it because he's an underclassman, but because of who he is and where he plays and the difference that he can make, I had to put him up here. 35 catches so far this season for 463 yards, 6 touchdowns, and one of the big things for me is no fumbles. The guy is from the Ohio State University. He is a sophomore, Jeremiah Smith. Here's the knock on him so far. I don't think he has performed well under the bright lights. And I think later on, as they get into more and more high-level competition, it'll be interesting to see if he continues to do well or if he kind of drops back a little bit. And I think that'll be what gets him either invited or not invited to the Heisman Trophy candidate this year.
Oh, he's, I think, in the top 5 favorites for voting. So he's a tremendous player. Absolutely. So my number 1, I'm going to go with Ty Simpson, the quarterback for Alabama. He's not had a bad game this year. Yes, they lost to Florida State, but he wasn't the problem. He's running for his life. He's mobile. He's just real careful with the ball. And the knock on him going into the year, I didn't know much about him. He only played like maybe 4 games, or, he sat behind Jalen Milroe.
Mm-hmm.
But the knock I saw him, I read, was that he wasn't just accurate enough. And he might be the most accurate quarterback in the country. He had games where he barely throws any incompletions. He had a game where he started 17-17. So, Ty Simpson, Alabama quarterback, he's been absolutely tremendous. So I have him as number 1.
All right. Well, my number 1, I have a quarterback as well. He's thrown for
we have 3 different. Are we all different? Real quick. Are we all different?
Calm down, Cheese. Calm down.
Okay.
1,478 yards, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception. This quarterback's QBR rating is 82.3, and his completion percentage is actually less than Carson Beck's. Beck's was 73.4, and Ty Simpson's is 70.3. So we have the same number 1 guy.
Okay.
You were like, what? You got to be kidding me. You're not going to do that to me, are you? No, I'm not. I've watched Ty Simpson play, and he's come out of nowhere for me. I didn't know who this kid was. I really didn't at the beginning of the season. And that's the reason why I put him at number 1, because he was a 5-star recruit.
He was a 5-star recruit. He just was beat out by Jalen Monroe, so he just sit behind him, and he didn't transfer. So I got to give him credit.
All right, so my underdog guy is a quarterback. Is your underdog guy a quarterback, sir?
Yeah, I just want to say honorable mention. Jordan Tice has been tremendous for Arizona State. 7 touchdowns already. Wide receiver. He's going to be the first receiver taken in the draft. But he's not going to win it, but it's a shame. But yes, mine is a quarterback.
Before you get into this, let me put this little nugget out there. We were going back and forth. Do we do 5 of these guys or do we do 3 of these guys? And Tyson was the guy. I'm like, man, where do I put him at? And to be honest, I had him at number 4, so I couldn't put him in this top 3.
He would have been 4 for me as well. He would have been 4 for me as well. So, okay. So, what are we calling this one again? This is the
our underdog pick.
Underdog pick? Okay. I'm going to have to pronounce this name. I had to look up how to pronounce it before the show.
Okay.
Baron, it's pronounced Baron, but it looks like Baron. But it's Baron Morton. He is the quarterback for Texas Tech. Like you said, they're 5-0. They look tremendous. He has put up some unbelievable numbers. 12 touchdowns, only 3 picks. His rating he's 10th, I think, in quarterback rating in NCAA, and they're winning. And he's completing almost 70% of his passes. So, it's Baron Morton.
All right. So I have a quarterback as well. He's got so just to give you some comparisons, right? Carson Beck has 1,213 yards. Tyson Simpson has 1,478, and this quarterback has 1,257. Beck has 11 touchdowns, Simpson has 13, and my underdog quarterback has 12. Ty Simpson has 1 interception, Beck has 3 interceptions, and my underdog has 1. Beck's QBR rating is 84.4, Simpson's is 82.3, and my underdog guy beats both of them by a wide margin at 87.6. His...
I'm trying to figure out who it is.
Yeah, I mentioned him earlier. I teased him earlier.
Oh, okay.
And the only thing where he's a little down is his completion percentage. He's only at 65.9%, so almost 66% completion percentage.
I know what you're talking about.
Where Beck is at 73.4 and Ty Simpson is at 70.3. And his name is Brandon Sorsby, and he plays for the University of Cincinnati. He's my underdog guy. One of those guys that I would love to see get to go, but I don't know if he will or not, but I'm going to root for him.
He's going to have to put up massive numbers the rest of the year.
Yes, he will. But hopefully he does, and hopefully he'll go. I always want to see one of those guys we don't expect, get something. So we'll see. All right, guys, we're going to jump into MLB 4-pitch talk. And, of course, we're going to do that right now.
That was a lot of college football. There's so much stuff done.
So much. We could have done more.
Yep.
I missed the intro. I missed the guitar. Terrible host. All right, guys, here we go. We're going to get into Major League Baseball. Of course, we're going to get into the playoffs, but we'll save that for the end. First, we're going to look at National League vacant managerial positions. A couple of them I don't think we care about, but we'll look at them anyway. And then next week, we'll look at the AL vacant managerial positions. We're going to look at the Pirates. And I'm going to ask Cheese this question. You can be preparing yourself for it, sir. Are the Pirates okay with losing? Oh, we're gonna answer that question here in a few moments.
What Pirates?
And what can Major League Baseball do to improve the playoffs from an enjoyment standpoint on the television? We're going to talk about that as well. So first, before we get too far into it, buddy, let's look at the National League vacant managerial positions. All right.
Okay.
Colorado. They don't have a GM or a manager. They barely have a Major League Baseball team. So let's
they still have a team?
Well, some people would say no. But I think you can just take this team and take this organization and tear it down to the studs, right? If they have any studs. We'll tear it down to the boards. How about that? I don't think we should say stud and Colorado Rocky in the same sentence.
It's they won like 43 games this year. It's pathetic.
So how do you fix them?
You move out of Colorado.
Do you really think that's a big part of it, is where they're located? I mean, are they ever going to be able to build a decent pitching staff being in Colorado?
Maybe build a dome stadium. I don't know. I don't know if that will help. The pitchers don't like pitch there. They lose confidence, I think. It's just such a tough place to pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see they use first round picks on college pitchers and they sign, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why would you ever sign there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll probably be the next couple picks anyway. The air is so thin for people who don't know that the ball carries more. Yes, they've had a couple playoff runs. They actually made the World Series about 20 years ago, but obviously they're poorly ran. But I just don't think they're ever going to win and have a great pitching staff in Colorado.
Okay, so let me give you a stat, and then we'll go a little bit deeper before we get to the Washington Nationals. So the stat that I'm going to give you is they had 12 starting pitchers this year. The lowest starting pitcher ERA, and they all qualified as pitchers, starting pitchers. The lowest starting pitcher ERA in Colorado was 6.39. Ouch.
Awful. Like,
right. So how do you fix it?
The lowest at 4.39 is not good.
No. So if you were the GM, or okay, let me give you the Colorado Rockies GM. And like I said, they don't have a GM, they don't have a manager, they don't have hardly anything right at the moment. So if I give you the Colorado Rockies GM hat, do you do? And all we're going to talk about today, as far as Colorado goes, and we're going to do deep dives into teams. We may do them a little bit separately than what we do here on the podcast. We haven't really talked about this off air as to how we're going to do this yet. Both of us have said to each other off air, like, hey, we need to do a few more shows. We need to do some other stuff. And this might be what we do, taking a deep dive into a team for like 30 minutes on an extra show. So if that's something you guys would love to see, let us know in the comments. Let us know on our X page. You can go to the comments, of course, on our YouTube channel as well. So, Cheese, would you do ground ball pitchers? You're not going to do fly ball pitchers, right? How are you going to? What kind of pitchers are you going to target for Colorado?
Well, ground ball pitchers, will the sinkers sink enough? You have to have good control, obviously.
Okay.
You can't walk people. I guess weak contact pitchers that get a lot of weak contact. And that have good control. I don't know what else you can do, but at the same time, when you go on the road, you still have to miss bats in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Denver's a great sports town. It really is, but
it's a beautiful stadium. I've been there. It's beautiful.
I just don't think it's working. And I think of all the teams in baseball, not just because they're bad. I think every other franchise, including the ones that are cheap, that we're going to talk about
in a minute. Yeah.
I still think they have a better chance to win the World Series. Of all the teams, if you tell me pick one team for the next 50 years doesn't win a World Series, I would pick Colorado Rockies.
Because of how they're run, right? The organization itself.
The organization itself and the fact you can't pitch there because the ball carries so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. You're not going to get free agents. Whenever they did pay pitchers, they had to pay them so much more, and it was a disaster. Ended up having to trade him.
Yeah, the Danny Nagels of the world, right?
Denny Nagels and Mike Hampton is another one. Daryl Kyle, you have to way overpay them, and they never are the same. So you can't get free agent pitchers. So it's.
So then,
it's
would you? I think you missed my comment while you were talking. You said, you need to get. You need to get, see, how'd you say it? You need to get weak contact. That's what you said. And I said, so the Chicago Cubs rotation, and you just breezed right past that. But
after that, yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I won't give you too hard of a time here. So
no, you're
Washington. Right. Washington's next. They did hire Paul Toboni.
They hired a GM.
Yes. He president of baseball operations. So they've done that. Now, the Washington Nationals, unlike the Rockies, do have a lot of talent. They've got Mackenzie Gore. They've got the alien. They've got Haslam III out in the outfield. They have some talent there. So I think that would be a more attractive job than what the Rockies would be. But what does Washington have to do to compete?
Just keep focusing on drafting, international signings and development. They're the team that hung on too long. You've seen teams do this. You win a World Series, and then 2 or 3 years later, they're losing guys and not replacing them, and they just try to hang on and sign some free agents. And we're still pretty good, but you're not. And they should have maybe done a retool or rebuild by then, and then they got bad. And their farm system's okay. It's not great. It should be better, considering they've been bad for the last 3 years, but just continue to develop. And they've made some good trades, but I really thought Mackenzie Gore was going to move the deadline, and he didn't pitch well after the deadline. I thought that was their chance to get a ton of prospects, but just continue. Don't just go out and try to spend to get good. Just keep working on development. I'm sure they're going to pick high again and focus on maybe 2028 and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, they're still paying Steven Strasburg too, so I mean, there's that.
That second contract was terrible. As soon as they paid him, he got hurt. As soon as they paid him. Yeah.
All right, so we got 2 more to go. Let's move on to San Francisco. So Buster Posey, of course, is the guy who's leading the charge there in San Francisco. I do know, and I can report from different sources that I have, that Nick Hudley did get an interview for that managerial spot. So did catcher Kurt Suzuki. And they have said that they are also going to interview their former bullpen coach, who is now with the Cleveland Guardians, Craig Albernaz, I believe is how you say it, Albernaz. So Albernaz. You're going to either have Albernaz or Suzuki or Nick Hudley. I'm going to lean more toward Nick Hudley, and then I'll ask you what you think, because Buster Posey knows him really well. He was his backup from both 17 and 18. But I think it's kind of, I don't want to say weird, but I think it's a little ironic that 2 of the 3 of them were former catchers, and here Buster Posey is a former catcher. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's got to be his target. Looking at catchers. Catchers, it's one of those positions where they know pitching and they know hitting because they work with pitchers, they call games. So I get why you would want to hire one as a manager. The Cubs had David Ross as manager, but there's some good managers out there. There's some really successful managers that got fired in the middle of the year or let go, or I know Bochy's 70, but there's so many good options out there. Former managers, retread ones. So it's just so surprising some of these teams aren't even looking at them. But just a little surprised they haven't looked at some outside candidates.
Yeah. Now the last team, of course, a team, right. This last team that we're going to look at, a team that you root for, in the Atlanta Braves. Alex Anthopoulos, I don't know if you, and I know you're not a big fan of him, but he did hold his press conference the other day. I watched it. He was very adamant that this was Snitker's, there we go, his decision, and that they didn't kick him out. He had the availability to come back, and he decided not to. They are going to keep him in like some kind of a front office role and still pay him the remainder of his contract that he signed a few years ago. He has said, well, I take that back. Alex didn't really say all of this. There were some other people who are looking at former people who played for the Braves, and there's two that have managerial experience that I can think of right off the top of my head that I wrote down. One is Walt Weiss. He used to play for the Braves, and he has managerial experience. And I think the guy that I'm leaning toward for this job, and it'll be interesting to hear what you think, again, because you follow this team a little more than I do. What about David Ross being the next head or being the next manager of the Atlanta Braves?
Well, if he's adamant that it was, why even mention or make sure you're adamant that it was Brian Snitker's decision if it wasn't?
Right.
I think they just wanted Snitker to. He wasn't going to be back. They wanted him to say, "Oh, it was his decision." It's just done. He wasn't coming back. He was never a good manager, ever. I mean, he really was not very good.
But they were loyal to him because he was loyal to them.
He'd been there worked in the organization for probably 40 years.
Correct.
And they respect him, and the players like him. But he's terrible at strategy, just awful at strategy. Didn't know what to do with a bullpen. Did win a World Series, though. Very good team. They got hot. As far as your question goes, here's the problem with David Ross. I like David Ross.
Okay.
And this is why the Cubs let him go, is he got outmanaged in a lot of big games. And same thing, great clubhouse. But he's more old school type manager. So is Walt Weiss, who's been an assistant there. I prefer someone maybe like a Brandon Hyde or Dave Martinez. They are much more new school. They both were bench coaches under the Cubs. Brandon Hyde wins manager of the year, gets second another year, takes a team that was winning 50 games to win 90 and then 101, wins manager of the year, second place another year, and then all their pitching gets hurt and they don't replace Corbin Burns, all their pitching, and then he's the scapegoat. And Dave Martinez won a World Series with the Nationals, and he was a scapegoat to a roster that wasn't very good. So to me, those are the two guys that I would focus on because I think they're more new school, more analytical type managers. I think the Braves have had that kind of old school mentality. I think they need someone more on the analytical side, more strategic.
Okay. And that was kind of my point because as you're saying, Snitker was that guy. He was, and you said sometimes he got out coached. And I mean, I'm thinking the same thing with Terry Francona for the Reds. I mean, I think he's the same kind of way. I saw him get out coached in the Dodgers series but we won't get into that too much. But I thought he did. So some of those older school guys are very stubborn and won't get off of that. And you're right. I think I was looking over there a minute ago. I don't know if you saw me like turn my complete body around. But I have David Ross's book. I've just never read it. I picked it up and he signed it for me when he was still with the Cubs. But I haven't actually read it through yet. So maybe I'll try to do that here before too long.
And all right, Bud Black's another possibility for the Braves as well. Just want to mention that. Okay.
I mean, let me ask you this. See, let me give you a name that I don't even know if you'll know this name. What about Ron Gant?
Of course I know Ron Gant. Ron Gant was a left fielder when I was a kid. He used to, I loved Ron Gant because he homered and he stole bases. He was like a 30-30 guy, I think.
Yes.
Of course I remember Ron Gant. Ron Gant, when I was a little kid, he was he would hit third in the lineup and they'd play for a 3-run homer. The first two guys would try to get on base. And all they wanted was Ron Gant to hit the 3-run homer. So yeah, absolutely. I don't know if he has any managerial.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But here's another sleeper, a crazy sleeper.
Okay, give it to me.
I doubt he'll do it. But he did, I think, manage Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. I could be wrong. But he went to an Ivy League school, and he played for the Braves, played for the Cubs. And the Cubs tried to get him as a bench coach years ago when the UFC was there.
Can I guess? Because I think I know where you're going. How about Mark DeRosa?
Mark DeRosa works for MLB Network, and he's one of the best people on MLB Network. So I'm happy either way, but he's just he'd be such a good guy in the clubhouse. for a manager.
I
would
don't know if
love
he'd
to
leave
play
his
for
MLB
Cooper.
Network gig.
I don't
though.
think he will either. I don't think it's such an easy job and he gets paid millions. But
Mhm.
I remember like probably about 7-8 years ago, the Cubs tried to hire him as an assistant, I think a bench coach, and he
Right.
turned him down. And they were going to groom him as a future manager. That was the plan, to replace, at the time it was Joe Madden. He was going to be the future guy that ended up replacing, ended up being David Ross. But that's my sleeper, but I don't see it happening.
Okay, now that we've got up to 50 people, we appreciate that. 50 people with us live. We're getting over 50 now. So as we talk MLB, let me give you one more that I just kind of thought of as we're talking. What about Chipper? Would Chipper Jones come back and manage the Atlanta Braves?
No, he's got too many, golf games to play, or golf matches. What do you call it? I don't golf. Golf tee times.
Yeah.
Chipper, no, he's too busy, being
Glavine, Smoltz,
Chipper.
Maddox,
No.
any of those guys come back?
They're all playing golf. They love golf too much. No, Smoltz just broadcasts like once a week. That's his job. And no, Chipper would not. I love Chipper to death. He's funny. He's a cool dude, but I don't think he'd even be a good manager. I really don't. Maybe a good hitting coach because he had a great swing. But
All right, let's answer this question. We've got all of these. We're talking about this. There's 4 NL managers. There is one AL manager who's already been hired. We'll talk about that next week when we do our AL managers. And then they have 4 more that they've got out there as well. But yet there's a team in the National League who says, you know what? We're okay with mediocrity. In fact, they might even be saying we're okay with losing because of what they did with their manager. So, geez, are the Pittsburgh Pirates okay with losing?
I would love to sit in on their front office meetings and find out what's going on. But it's hard to argue against it. I don't want to say yes or no, but they do a pretty good job developing pitching. Well, they've done a good job developing pitching. They don't develop bats.
Yes.
They don't go out and sign free agents. When a guy has 1 or 2 years left on his deal, they just trade him away for prospects that somehow are never as good as the player. They somehow always lose the trade just about every time. So
it's because they trade with the Yankees a lot.
Yeah, and they're going to have to probably trade Paul Skeens sooner rather than later. The longer you wait, the less you're going to get for him. But he's not going to sign an extension there. I don't see it happening.
Mm-mm.
And he even made a comment about they need to do better. And they make money. I get it. They don't have the money close to what the Yankees, Mets, or Dodgers do. Not even close, but they could be more competitive. They could do more.
Yeah, see, I don't like that excuse. I mean, when you win, look at the revenue teams. We got a lot of stuff that's up on our X account, a lot of baseball stuff. I get into the analytics really big as far as the baseball things go. And I throw a lot of stuff up on our X account, which is at all gloves off SM. That's our X account. So get on there and look at stuff. I mean, the teams that won this year made more money, obviously, because they get more fans to come out. The Reds finally made the playoffs, got up over 3 million in attendance this year. So if they start taking that extra money that they make and put it back into the team, then you can't give me the excuse of they can't afford it. They're a small market team. That's just bull. Let me give you a few stats here. So the Pittsburgh Pirates have finished above 500 once since 2015. Once in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Under Derek Shelton, the manager that they fired to hire Don Kelly, under Derek Shelton, they started 12-26. And they were like, oh, this is terrible. We can't start 12-26. We'll fire him. Then they turn around and they signed Don Kelly, which, by the way, they did not tell anyone how many years they signed him for or what kind of money they signed him to. They just said, hey, we're going to sign our manager, which probably means they signed him to a 3 to 5 year contract for next to nothing because they don't want to seem cheap, yet we all know they are. So under Don Kelly, they went 59-65. Why would you bring back that manager?
Probably the reason you said, probably he was willing to sign cheap. I mean, it was an improvement, but I don't know. The thing is, you cannot keep a fan base if you're bad year in, year out.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't.
I don't care how beautiful your ballpark is, and their ballpark is stunning.
I've heard that. My parents have gone there. I have not been there. But you just can't always be bad. I worked with a couple guys that years ago, maybe 5 years ago, that were big Steelers and Penguins fans.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mentioned, oh, you like the Pirates? They're like, oh, we were not really. We don't really follow them anymore. They're just like, they watched them a little bit the last time they made the postseason. We watched that game. They had the play-in game with the Cubs and lost. They're immediately eliminated. Right. And they said we watched that game, but that was it. That was the only game they watched all year. Like, so you mentioned teams putting the money back in. The Padres have done that. The Padres actually have put the money back in the team, and more teams need to do that. But teams like the A's and the Marlins and the Pirates, they're the best examples. They don't. They could spend more money because every major league team makes money. They do not lose money. Some NBA teams actually lose money, but every MLB team makes money, but they don't put it back in. And Cleveland's been accused of this as well, and it's a shame.
I mean, you mentioned it. They have good young starters. They got Mitch Keller. They got a kid in the minors that they brought up right towards the end. I couldn't remember his name. I didn't write it down. And then, of course, you got Paul Skeens. But you're also going to get to talk in Anaheim right now, who we'll talk about next week because they have a managerial vacancy as well. In Anaheim, they've been saying for years, oh, you're wasting Mike Trout. You're wasting Mike Trout. How long is it going to be before people in Pittsburgh are going to start saying you're wasting Paul Skeens? You're wasting Paul Skeens.
Well, they're going to have to trade him at some point. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen this year. It's going to happen this year unless they do something. And I know the Brewers kind of went off, but for the most part, it's typically a winnable division. Rarely do you have a team that's just like so good in that division. Brewers last couple of years, but they have Connor Griffin, probably the best prospect in baseball right now too. Their first round pick last year. We'll see if he develops because they've had trouble developing bats. But Bubba Chandler, was that the one you were thinking of?
There we go. That's the pitcher. Yep. Bubba Chandler. I mean, if you could go Mitch Keller, Paul Skeens, Bubba Chandler, that's a pretty good 1-2-3 in any rotation. I don't care if you play in Pittsburgh or not. Oh,
they got a lot of good pitching talent in the minors. They do. Mm-hmm. They typically do. But they end up having to trade them. They all end up playing for, like you said, the Yankees or the Dodgers or someone like that. But somehow, whenever they get prospects back, it's almost none of them work out. So they're not doing a good job of getting the right prospects.
No, I'm pretty sure Bubba Chandler, they drafted him, and I know they drafted Paul Skeens. So, I mean, they seem to draft well, but they don't trade very well. Here's my last question on this Pirates thing, and then we'll do, how can MLB improve the playoff experience on television? And then the very last thing we'll do here on MLB before we jump into the NFL section that was written by Cheese, we'll do who wins the Division, League, and World Series there. We'll give all of our predictions here in just a second. Last thing on this Pirates thing, though. How important is a manager?
I mean, it's important. The talent on the field is more important. We've seen managers maybe not be the best and still win. You can overcome a bad manager, but it's important. And you have to have a leader. You have to have a guy that you respect and keeps the locker room whenever it's, because baseball, you play so many games, there's so many ups and downs. Mm-hmm. You have to have a guy that's just a great locker room presence, but you also have to, manage a game well. And that's where so many managers that people respect and talk about, they're great, like the Joe Maddens, like the Brian Snitker, everyone's like, they're the greatest. And it's like, they get outmanaged all the time. And, so it's important. It's probably not as important as some of the other sports, though. I'll say that.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about what can MLB do to improve the playoff experience for us on television. I've got actually quite a few things to go over here for just a second. So I'll ask you this first. Do you like the 3-game, 5-game, 7-game format in the playoffs?
No, I do not like it at all. I don't like buys. Don't like 3 games, because if you have one stud pitcher, you're almost guaranteed to win that game, and then the other team has to win the next two. 7 is so much better. The shorter, the worse it is. The shorter it is, the worse it is. What do you think?
I'm not sure if I agree with you. I know that when the NBA starts doing it, right, they do a whole bunch of 7-game series, and they start the playoffs, and then by the time it's done, it's 6 weeks later, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, just get this thing over with, right? So I'm not sure about that. I kind of like the 3-game, 5-game, 7-game. And what I mean by that is you'll do 3 games in the wild card, you'll do 5 games in the division, and of course 7 once you get to league and World Series. So
well, I don't want it to last that long. I want fewer teams to make it. I don't like how many teams make it. It's too many.
Okay, well, you could do it that way. You could reduce the teams and reduce the number of games, I guess, if that's the way you wanted to do it.
They keep adding teams, and I don't know. I'm telling you right now, they're going to add, because NFL used to have 2 teams with a bye, like baseball does now. Eventually, I'm telling you, 5 years, they're going to add another team, and only the top team will get a bye. They're going to keep doing this. This is what, and here's the problem: the more teams you add, you end up with 6, 8 teams at most that are sellers, and most teams buying. It needs to be closer to the middle. You need about half the teams buying, half selling at the deadline. So
I like where it's at right now. I mean, I like this. And it's not just because I was the Reds fan and the Reds got in and all of that, but I mean, it kept me interested all the way up till the end, which will lead me to a question here in just a second. So when your team is out, Cheese, are you out?
A baseball? Probably most of the time, not necessarily out, but I still pay attention to the scores. I'll turn a game on. I'll turn some World Series games on. As long as it's not Dodgers Yankees, I wouldn't watch one pitch of that shit show. But I will. Yeah, I'll keep track of it, and I watched some of the Astros. Who did they beat a few years back? I can't even remember now. And I watched that Verlander start where he went 6 innings in the game-winning thing. So I did watch that, especially if someone's going for the clinch. But for the most part, I am out. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not out. I'm kind of like you. I'm not out. But I'll watch it because I love baseball. But at the same point, like instead of being glued to the television, I'll get up and do a couple other things, and then I'll come back 2 innings later, or I'll do this. And if something happens, I'll just, hit the rewind button a little bit and watch what I missed and then catch up. And that's kind of some of the other stuff is we have so many modern conveniences now with television to where I can split screens. Like, I was watching the baseball game and the Monday Night Football game all at the same time the other night. And, it makes it to where I don't have to choose what I want to watch. So I think there's some different things that have kind of come into play now. Do you feel like you can watch all the games? Like if the Cubs make it to the next round, do you feel like you're going to be able to see all of those games?
Yeah, well, I have a 2 TV setup, but yeah, it's with all these extra teams, it's tough. Some of them do overlap, but I think for the most part, they do a pretty good job of spreading them out as much as possible. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Do you think they market their superstars well to the common fan? Not maybe to somebody like me who is, they don't have to do it to me because I know who they all are and I got all their statistics in my brain and everything else, right? But more of the common people. Do they market their superstars well to the common fan?
The casual fan?
Yeah, the casual fan.
They used to do it better in the steroid era, I think. Probably not. I think they could do better. It depends on the star, and people get hurt a lot, but I think they could do better. What about you?
All right, now these last 2 are my 2 biggest gripes with this whole thing, so I'll see where you fall. I don't like the fact, okay, so do you know what started yesterday?
The Arizona Fall League.
Yes, the Arizona, good job. Yeah.
I follow the minor leagues, so of course I follow the Arizona Fall League.
Right. I love the Arizona Fall League. Why are you starting the Arizona Fall League while the playoffs are still on? What the heck are you doing? You're forcing me to, I live here in Arizona. You're forcing me to either go to a game and watch it, or you're forcing me to say, you know what? I don't want to go watch the kids. I want to stay home and watch the big boys play. Why are you forcing me to do that? Why do they do the Arizona Fall League? Why do they allow free agency to be at the same time? We're all talking about the managerial moves. All of that stuff distracts you and distracts from the playoffs. Why? Stop it, Major League Baseball. What do you feel?
Well, they obviously don't care. Arizona Fall League, you and me will follow it, but most people won't. Most people will not follow it. So that is why. So they don't really care.
Wouldn't more people follow it if it wasn't up against the playoffs?
Yeah, and during the World Series, they could talk about it and say, "Oh, Arizona Fall League starts the day after World Series," something like that.
Right.
But yeah, Mesa Solar Sox, they're actually losing right now to SUR, whoever that is.
The Scottsdale River Rats. The Scottsdale.
Problem is, they started Ed Howard, who's one of the biggest first-round busts the Cubs have ever had. But anyway, I don't know why he still even has on the team, but he can't
River
hit.
Rafters.
Like
I'm sorry, the Scottsdale. Yeah,
Scottsdale River Rafters.
That is correct.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It should be after. It's not like it's going to get cold in the Phoenix area where all the teams are, and so yeah, they should wait till after the World Series.
And here's my last one. I think both of us have a gripe about this. I don't like many of the announcers on any of these baseball things, right? I like John Smoltz. I like his analysis, but he's never with anybody good. So it's like, I mean, it's okay. John Smoltz does a really good job, but the guy he's with is terrible. I will say that Matt Carpenter, even though I can't stand the Cardinals because I'm a Reds fan, Matt Carpenter has actually transformed himself to a pretty good announcer. I like Matt Carpenter, but then you've got some no-name guy doing, actually calling the play, and you've got AJ Pierzynski, who just, gosh, put a shotgun under my jaw and pull the trigger, please. So
he's an arrogant asshole. I can't stand him.
Yes, that's a nice way of putting it. So here's my thing.
It's accurate.
It is. Why can't we use our hometown guys? Why can't
Adam Wainwright's pretty good too? Another Cardinal, I think, does a pretty good job. But yeah, Jessica Mendoza was horrible in that first series of the Cubs Padres. Mets fans might disagree, but Ron Darling, I cannot stand Ron Darling at all. He's doing the Cubs Brewers series now. I think, yeah, they know the teams, but I guess what you're saying is, okay, so Cubs are playing the Brewers. You can watch the Brewers or the Cubs. You can watch one or the other.
Well, no, really and honestly, what I'm saying, I think it would be neat. So do you have Roku TV or Roku, however they say it, R-O-K?
I don't.
That's what I've got behind me, right? I have that subscription. And on Sunday mornings, throughout the baseball season, the Roku channel has the very first game of the day. It's like really early in the morning. It's like usually 10 a.m. or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I've watched some of those. So I do. I don't have Roku, but I found it somewhere. Yeah.
So they take one announcer from each team and put them in the booth together and have them call the game. That is a fantastic idea. Give me, like right now, give me one of the Cubs announcers and give me
John Sciambi.
Yeah.
John Sciambi's great. He does the Cubs games. Give him and get the Brewers like analyst. Let him do the play-by-play. Yeah.
I would watch it more, even though I'm not a big Cubs or Brewers fan, but I would watch it more because I know those guys know those teams, and I'd be able to stomach it a little more. So I wish they would do that. Give us the hometown announcers.
Years ago would have been Bob Uecker and Harry Carey.
Correct. Now, I'll tell you I'll give you a great example. Some of you watching may remember these guys. Some of you probably will not. Man, I used to love when Sunday Night Baseball would come on. I didn't watch Sunday Night Baseball for the teams. I honestly watched Sunday Night.
Joe Miller. John Miller and Joe Morgan.
John Miller and Joe Morgan. I love the two of them together.
They're great.
I would watch every game because the two of them were doing the broadcasting on it. I think
John Miller did the Giants games regularly, right?
He still does. Yeah, he still does.
He still does. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. They had great chemistry. You're right. They were a great duo. Absolutely.
So I think sometimes the people who are doing the games is just as important as the people playing the games.
It certainly if it's bad, you can tell, and it's annoying, and it gets on your nerves. Absolutely.
All right. So I did not look at these team. I don't know if you have or not. Some of these could be over already. I don't know because it's taken us a little bit of time to get to them. So let's talk about this. Who's going to win, Seattle or Detroit?
Well, let me see what the scores are.
Oh, stop it. Why are you looking?
Seattle, because they're up 2-1 because they won already.
Okay. So I'm going to pick Seattle as well. What about, don't look at this one. What about Toronto and the Yankees?
Well, Toronto's up 2-1, 2-0 technically, but they're down by 3 in the 7th. So I'll still say Toronto.
All right. I'll go the same way. I would say Toronto as well. Now let's go to the National League. Brewers
I can't
or
cheat
Cubs?
now. I can't cheat.
No, you can't
Brewers.
cheat now because they're not on. But
Brewers, Cubs aren't going to win. They're not winning this. They're top. If they were doing a series, if everyone's healthy, Justin Steele would start game 1 and Cade Horton would start game 2. They're both hurt. The guys that would start games 1 and 2 for them are out, and so yeah, they're starting pitching.
They pitch the next round if they make it.
Be serious. Brewers.
I saw it today. If they make it, Horton will pitch the next round. They said so.
If they make it,
It's
a big if.
It's a big if.
Big if. I'm going to go Brewers. What about you?
I'm going to go Brewers as well. What about Dodgers and Phillies? So we're matching up so far.
Dodgers. Easy.
No, see, I don't think this is easy. I'm going to pick the Phillies. I believe that this Dodger bullpen will let them down. I keep waiting for them to collapse, and they get so close. They did it again the other night, and I'm just like, okay, the Phillies are going to come back, but until Kyle Schwarber hits, I mean, he's like 0 for his last 30 or something like that.
Oh, it's not just him. Trey Turner, Brandon Marsh, none of them hit in the postseason. They have no one that can hit in the postseason. No, Dodgers are going to take it. It's going to be a sweep.
They're $156 right now. It's the collective batting average of the Philadelphia Phillies, $156. So who's going to represent the American League in the World Series? You said Seattle and Toronto. So who's going to win that series?
Toronto.
Okay,
that was
good.
Tough.
Yeah, that's a tough series, but I'm going to take Seattle. I think they have a little bit better pitching, and I like the way Seattle's built. So I'm going to go Seattle representing the American League. So you said Brewers and Dodgers. Who will win that series and go to the National League pennant? Do you care?
Well, can they both lose? Can we have Seattle versus Toronto in the World Series?
Right.
I'll say that I'll take the Dodgers because it's the Dodgers. Somehow they'll get it. It's the Dodgers.
All right. I'm actually going to go. I think the Phillies will come back and beat the Dodgers. That'll give them the momentum, and I'm going to pick the Phillies to represent the National League. So my final two teams are Seattle and Philadelphia.
Taking a big, bold move. I like that.
I am. I like them. I like how that team's built. They just can't hit right at the moment. So I'm going to say Seattle and Philadelphia with Seattle winning. So you're going to take Seattle and the Dodgers. Who are you going to have winning that?
The Dodgers are going to win because it's the Dodgers. That somehow they win. I just know it. I just have a feeling Dodgers. And I don't like picking that. I hate it.
Well, you did it pretty quick. So, okay. Even though you don't like it. But
I just want to be right.
You just want to be right. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. Okay. I know you're going to talk football.
Yes.
I know you love talking football. So do I, buddy. But, we got to do a couple of house cleaning things here first before we can do that. So while I'm preparing everything over here on the side, which, here we go. I did this again. I don't know what I do over here. I don't know what happens. I got to click some buttons and figure it out. While I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing over here, do me a favor. Go ahead and plug your YouTube and stuff again while I try to figure all this out and get us where we need to be.
Oh, I had a shameless plug set up in the next segment, right.
Oh, did you?
Yes, but that's all right. I'll plug it now. It's at Football with Cheese. Yes, Football with CHEEZ, like cheese it. Football with Cheese. Follow me. Enable alerts so you don't miss any of my videos. Typically do about 3 a week. I did an instant reaction today. Had some technical issues on my NFL recap, so that'll have to come out tomorrow, unfortunately. Typically comes out Tuesday, but I did a whole video instant reaction to the Joe Flacco traded from the Browns to the Bengals. And follow me on X at Football Cheese. Basically the same thing without the with.
All right, we're going to do that here in just a second. I don't know what I've done. I don't know. I hit the wrong button. I don't know. I've done something over here.
Hit the wrong button. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least you haven't like gotten ejected. You didn't like hold and open up in your home and you just shoot out. You didn't hit the eject button at least.
True that. But I can't. You're probably hearing me. I'm getting louder and louder with the clicks over here. I'm like, daggone it, I can't figure this out. So let me see here. Where can I go?
Well, I hope you don't have nuclear codes. That's for sure.
No, I don't. I don't think I've got that. So,
The wrong button.
yeah.
You meant to hit France. You hit Italy. Dang it.
I don't know. I'm all frustrated because I want to be able to switch the background and I can't switch the background for some reason.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool background.
It is. Let me take that back off and maybe that'll help me out. I don't know. I did this earlier and got it.
Well, let me see if there's any breaking news while you're
Okay.
doing that. There might be breaking news. There was a trade today
Might
from
be.
Baltimore and the Chargers. Baltimore sends an edge rusher, it was a first-round pick that's pretty terrible, and they get a safety, and they get a fifth-round pick and give up a seventh. They moved up 2 rounds. They need a defensive back.
So does that tell you that the Ravens are kind of giving up?
It tells me they whiffed on a first-round pick, and they really needed depth at safety, and the Chargers are taking a chance on talent. Player is Odafe Owa, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He was a Penn State, I believe, edge rusher, who actually had a decent rookie year, just never got better. And the Chargers have been decimated by offensive line, defensive line injuries. So it makes sense for both teams. But certainly the Ravens, it looks like a mini sell because he is a starting edge rusher and they're getting a backup safety. So that's pretty much it. We're going to start seeing more trades. I think the deadline is November 4th. We got a month to go, but there are just so many bad teams. We're going to start seeing more and more trades, probably a few a week, leading up the deadline, more than probably usual, because there's so many teams that are going to be out of it by November 4th. So we're going to see more trades. Does someone keep texting you?
Yeah, it's my phone going off. It's probably Ricky and Roger going, stupid, just hit this button. And
come on, dumbass.
That's pretty much what it probably is. So I'm not going to do the music because I'm afraid to, but I am going to try to switch the background here real quick so that we can get into our NFL and have that in the background. I see it. I believe I can do it. There we go. All right. Well, we got half of it. There's
Good job, buddy.
I know. I don't know what I did over here, but
okay.
I don't know. I'm just clicking buttons now. I'm going to mess something up, so I better stop. See, there we go.
We're back to baseball.
Yeah, back to baseball. No, okay, back to football. All right. So I know you want to start with the Cincinnati Bengals and that big trade that happened today. Talk to us a little bit. Tell us about the trade and your opinion, so I can try to change your opinion. Go ahead, buddy.
Good luck with that. Change my opinion about quarterback play. Okay. Like I just mentioned on my channel, check it out, Football with Cheese. I did instant reaction. I love those because I don't do notes. I just do them real quick. Bengals traded for Joe Flacco from the Browns. They give up a 5th-round pick, get a 6th-round back. So basically, it's nothing. You move down like 30 spots, late round, whatever. I guess Browns came off, he's not going to play, so they move up, whatever. But after Joe Burrow had toe surgery, Jake Browning has struggled big time. And the Bengals, they're going to try and stay in contention. Otherwise, why make this move until Burrow comes back in December? My question for you is, do you think Flacco is a significant upgrade over Jake Browning?
I figured it out. I know what I did now, so I got it. Do I think he is a significant upgrade? No, I don't.
Okay.
But I think they have to do something. All right, it's already annoying me.
Find something.
Okay, so define something. Here's my thing, right? The Browns are not going to win this division. The Ravens are decimated with injuries, and the Steelers, I think, are going to come back down to earth. So I still think this division is up for grabs. So therefore, I want the Bengals to try to win it. And then when Joe Burrow gets back, when they get to the playoffs, hopefully, he'll be back, he'll be healthy, and they can start beating people like they should have done in the beginning.
But do you think they can hang in there with Flacco? It's not exactly been great the last few years.
No, I mean, he's, in your reaction, I'll give our fans a couple of things that you talked about in your reaction. The current starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals is number 1 in turnovers, and the one they just traded for is number 2 in turnovers.
Number 3. They're number 2 and 3. Geno Smith, of course, exists, so they're 2 and 3.
Oh, gotcha. But you did have another great point, and that is Joe Flacco is not mobile whatsoever. I don't know how many games he's going to last back there because that Bengals line cannot protect him. I'm just afraid he's going to get killed in the first game or the second game, and then we're going to be right back to where we were. But it's not like we gave up a ton for him. So I guess I would rather them try than do nothing.
Flacco has become a check down type quarterback, and that's not the Bengals offense at all. Maybe it helps Mike Gesicki fantasy owners. I don't know. Maybe Chase Brown gets more dump offs. I just don't think it's a big upgrade. Maybe it's just a slight upgrade. I think he's a little better than Jake Browning, but at this point in his career, and he doesn't have the chemistry. He hasn't played with those receivers ever. At least Browning's been with them. I know it's going bad, but he has never thrown to these receivers before. Yeah. Yes, he's a veteran. Yes, he's bounced around a lot of teams recently.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think they're going to stay in contention even with Flacco. And he might win, you saw in my video, 1 or 2 more games with him. So instead of being 4 wins when Burrow comes back, they might be 5 or 6. Okay, fine. But that just hurts your draft pick if you don't make the playoffs. You don't want to go 9-8 again. 9-8 is awful. Being one of the first teams to miss the playoffs, the worst place to be.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get in the playoffs and you don't pick high enough.
Yep.
And if for some reason the Bengals collapsed and picked 6th or 7th, they might be able to move back, get a lot of extra picks because they need a lot on this roster. And one thing I said in the video that's
get some linemen.
A lot of people overlooking linemen. This is a flawed roster. There are big holes. And when you don't have, a future Hall of Fame quarterback, you see those holes exposed. And we've seen them. They have a lot of holes on the roster, in the secondary, on the defensive line, definitely the offensive line.
Yes.
So they need a lot of bodies. And picking 17th or 18th every year, you're not going to – they would need 2 or 3 drafts and nail all of them to have one of the better rosters in the NFL. Yeah. Well, here's their next 7 games.
Sure, let's look at that.
It's brutal. It gets easy at the end, but the next 7 games are at Green Bay, Pittsburgh at home, Jets at home, Bears at home. 3 straight home games. That's pretty cool.
Yes,
at the Steelers, but then they're at Pittsburgh.
But don't you think they can win those 3 games with Joe Flacco?
They can, but they're not going to win all 3. They have a chance to win all of them, but they're not going to win all of them, in my opinion.
Okay, so they're 2-3 now. So
right.
Let's say they get to 4-3 or 4-5, I guess, if you have them win 2 of the next 3. So then they go 4-5. What's after that?
They're at Pittsburgh, at New England, and at the Ravens. They go 3 home games, 3 road. That's brutal. And the Ravens might be healthy by then.
Yeah.
So I just do not see more than 2 wins. I mean, you never know. Other teams could have injuries. But to me, if I'm going to make a move, I want to get someone better than Flacco. The rumors, they didn't even call the Giants about Russell Wilson. At least Russell Wilson, to me, is a better fit because he still throws a good deep ball, and we know what the Bengals receivers can do.
Yep, he's mobile.
We saw Russell Wilson in the playoffs against the Ravens hitting George Pickens deep. They didn't do much except for that. We saw him against the Cowboys hit those deep balls, Malik Neighbors. He can still throw a deep ball, and that's so good for Jamar Chase. So to me, he would have been a better fit. I just don't think Flacco moves the needle to, we're going to be 6-7 or 7-7 when Burrow comes back.
Right now, I saw a lot of people on social media saying, "Oh, they should have gotten a younger quarterback. They should have gotten why? Why are you getting a younger quarterback for? Burrow is your quarterback. I'm not upset with them for not getting a younger quarterback. I'm just not sure if they got the right old guy."
I mean, do you think they could? Let's say he comes back mid-December. Do you think they'll have 6 or 7 wins by then?
6. I don't think they can have 7.
I think they have 4. There's so many holes in the roster. They've looked so bad the last 3 weeks. So you are a Bengals fan. What would you rather have? Would you rather have a chance to make the postseason? Be in the 6-7 win range and Burrow comes back and have to win out? Or would you rather just, go 5-12 and pick in the top 10 and set you up better for the future? What would you prefer?
Man, that's a tough question.
I know what I would pick.
Well, I know what you would pick too, and you've already pretty much said it. And I understand your point, but I think the only way that would work is if what you said is true. Then can they trade back, and can they get 3 second-round picks, or a late first and then 2 seconds or something like that? I don't think if they go 5 and whatever, 5 and 12, I guess would be the number. So my Ohio math tells me that, but and they pick 6, 7, 8 in the draft. That guy they're going to get 6, 7, and 8 is because they need more than that. They have several holes. So I don't think that guy they get 6, 7, or 8 is really going to help them any more than getting Joe Flacco and going for it this year and crossing your fingers. If they could trade back, then I understand it.
You can get a lot for that pick typically. If they move, say they're the 6th pick, and they move even to 12 or 13, you can get a first the next year. If you move even from 6 to 9 or 10, you probably get a second this year. So that's huge. And what if you move from 6 to 20? You're going to get a first next year, a third this year, maybe a fourth next year as well. Like, you're going to get all of that, and that's what they need to do.
Yeah, but they don't need to get future picks. They need to get now picks.
But future first rounders are great, and they need something. They need bodies. They need better talent overall in the roster. I'm seeing so many holes the last 3 weeks on this roster. We talked about offensive line, but on defense too. They don't have enough talent to be a contender. Even with Burrow, I know you picked him to go to the Super Bowl. I picked him to make the playoffs. Even with Burrow, they weren't going to win the Super Bowl because I'm seeing so many flaws with this team. Yes, they could make the playoffs, but not. This could be a blessing in disguise, actually, if they just are so bad and they pick high. This could be a blessing in disguise. You get Burrow back healthy next year, and you pick high in the draft and you just get better. So, any final thoughts on the Bengals?
Well, I hope what this has taught them, and I hope what it teaches other teams, is before you go out and get your franchise quarterback, you should probably get a line that can protect your franchise quarterback first.
He's never had a line. Even when they made
it, he never has. That's my point.
Yep. Okay. Well, some people, 99% of people, aren't even talking about the Browns aspect of this trade. And here's something no one's talking about. And I thought about this right away.
Okay.
Well, after my instant reaction video. So not right away, but right after that. So Joe Flacco was the backup after Dylan Gabriel became the starter this past week. But now the Cleveland Brown backup is someone by the name of Shedeur Sanders. If you've heard of him, he is now the backup because there's no other quarterbacks on the roster. So here's the thing. Does this put more pressure on the Browns to play Sanders? Say Dylan Gabriel has a bad game, maybe 2 bad in a row. Does this put pressure? Because the fans want to see Shedeur Sanders play. A lot of fans wanted them to take him 2nd overall. Goes to the 5th round. Now that Flacco's not there, does this put more pressure on the Browns?
I'm going to disagree with you on the premise here. I don't think the Browns fans want to see Shador Sanders play.
Okay.
I think the Browns fans want Dylan Gabriel to do well. I mean,
But if he doesn't, though, that's the point. What if he struggles for a couple games in a row? What if he has 2 games in a row, he throws 2 interceptions and no touchdowns?
you've got to stick with him for a while, don't you? You just can't throw him back and then he has two. I mean, because you can't go. I mean, they're the Browns, I guess, and they do a lot of stuff wrong. But you can't go back and forth and back and forth. I tell you what, I might employ, and I think this would be interesting. I would employ the 2 quarterback system, where Gabriel comes out for a while and then Sanders comes out for. I mean, what do you have to lose, right? Why not pit them against each other for the rest of the season? Go ahead and come out and announce it. Hey, we're going to play both quarterbacks, and we're going to see who wins, and that's who we're going to go with next year.
I don't necessarily love that. But here's the thing with Shador Sanders. It's not just the fans, it's the media.
Yes.
It's
the media wants
LeBron James. So the thing is, Shador Sanders didn't really play all that great in his first preseason game. He wasn't very good in the first 2 series, and then the backups come in, and then he played way better, and his stats look good. And then LeBron James is tweeting about it. All these people tweeting about, oh, look, he's great. See, he's great. A preseason game versus backups. Preseason means nothing. Some of the worst quarterbacks in NFL history were great in the preseason. Ryan Leaf might be the best preseason quarterback of all time. So all these people tweet about. So my point is, I guess I said fans, but everyone, like if Dylan Gabriel starts struggling, there is going to be people calling for Shador Sanders to play. As long as he's the 3rd string quarterback and Flacco is the backup, then you're not going to have that as much. But now, when he's 1 play away, 1 spot away, I guess, I just think this could create some issues. And from what I've read, he was significantly behind the other guys in training camp. So I just had a thought of that. No one's really talking about it. Do you have any final thoughts on it?
I mean, it's interesting, and it's the Browns, right? It's the Browns being the Browns.
Yeah, they're not well run. Okay, let's talk the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, please, let's go ahead and do that. Yeah.
So they somehow blew a 21-6 lead, which should have been 28-6. They lost at home to maybe the worst team in the NFL, the Tennessee Titans.
I don't think there's a maybe.
There are 4 huge things that just went horribly wrong. If none of these happen, they win. The center snaps the ball before Kyler Murray's ready, hits him right in the face mask. It actually led to him leaving the game. They gave him a concussion test. Like a football and a face mask going to do that. That caused a fumble. Amari Derecado holds the ball out on a breakaway touchdown, over a 70-yard run, wasn't touched, and flips the ball right at the goal line, because people do that. This should never happen. Why does it keep happening? What is going on? But personally, I thought he crossed the goal line before he flipped, so I thought it should have been a touchdown, but still, he shouldn't be doing that. It was close, but instead of 28-6, it's still 21-6 Titans ball. But it should have never come down to that. Like you said, he should have never done that. Just go into the end zone, act like you've been there before. We've talked about this before. Stop celebrating, stop flipping the ball, stop flipping your bat when you hit a home run. Just do what you know you're supposed to do. Hand the ball to the ref. Flip the ball backwards when they're not even in the end zone yet. You've seen that people do that. Deshaun, what was his name?
Deshaun McCoy, right?
Not LaShawn McCoy. Deshaun Jackson, I believe was his name. He did that. It keeps happening. It should never happen. I've heard people say, flip the ball when you're out of the back of the end zone. Wait till you get through the entire end zone, and then you can do something with the ball.
Yes.
That was number 2. Number 3, there's 2 more. There's more. Cam Ward throws an interception to Darian Taylor Demerson, defensive back for the Cardinals, obviously. Then he immediately fumbles. I guess when he's trying to get up on his own. He fumbles it himself. He's not even touched. And the ball gets kicked in the end zone, and Titan wide receiver Tyler Lockett falls on it for a touchdown. So instead of an interception, the Titans get a touchdown out of an interception. There's more. Then
I feel like you're stabbing me right now.
I've never seen anything like this in my life. Then they're up 2 points with 3 minutes to go. It's 21-19. And they call 3 straight run plays, including 3rd and 8. They got conservative. They thought, oh, it's the Titans offense. We'll just, we'll play defense. But you're up 2. If you're up 8, I get it. best they can do is tie. But you're up 2 where a field goal, you lose. And they called 3 straight running plays. 3rd and 8, they called a running play. They don't even try a pass. Way too conservative. After all that happened, they lost 22-21. My question for you is this. Who do you blame for the loss? Is the players, the coach, organization? Who's to blame?
Well, let me go back to their running thing, right?
Okay.
So they called 3 straight running plays. Do they have their first string running back, sir?
They don't have their second string running back, neither.
Correct. That was going to be my next question. Do they have their second string running back? No. They're using their 3rd string or maybe even 4th string running back here.
Yeah.
So give me my choices again. Who do I blame?
Well, yeah. Michael Carter and Amari Derrick. I never heard of Amari Derricotta going into the season until I saw him catch a touchdown pass in a couple games ago. I didn't even know who he was. I feel like I knew who everybody is in the NFL. I didn't know who he was. And yeah, Michael Carter, those guys should not be, it should be James Carter and Trey Benson. So That's a good point. So they have all these backup running backs still trying to run. And you have Kyler Murray, who could play action, roll out, and maybe run for it.
Yes.
And the team is loading up against the run because they have to stop the run. They know you're going to run. With Kyler Murray, with Trey McBride, with Marvin Harrison Jr., what are you doing? Okay. So who do you blame? The players, the coaches, or the organization?
I blame the coaches. The players messed this up too, but that whole running thing with the coaches, literally all you had to do was get one more first down, and the game's over. And this is what you do. I know you sent me the video with Jonathan Gannon yelling at DeMarcado on the sideline. I haven't got to hear the one you sent me with the audio on it. But I don't mind him doing that whatsoever. I like him holding the players accountable, even though he apologized for it the next day, which was the worst thing he could have done, in my opinion. But I still blame the coaches because all they had to do was get one first down. In the press conference today, I believe, it may have been yesterday, but I think it was today, Joe Petzing is the offensive coordinator. Jonathan Gannon is the head coach. And they asked him, who called that play, you or Petzing? And he said, no, Petzing called all 3 of those plays. And then the follow-up question was, have you ever overruled the offensive coordinator? And he said, I would never overrule the offensive coordinator. That's why I hired him. And you're doing what I did. I'm like, are you kidding me?
You're the head coach.
If you think the play is wrong, overrule him. You, sir, are the head coach.
That's awful. And for those of you who do not know, he went and screamed at Amari Derricotta, and I get it. And it looked like he kind of punched him or shoved him. He was fined $100,000.
Yep.
And I think by the Cardinals, I think they made him apologize, worrying that might be a suspension or more. I think they made him do it. So I know you said you didn't like the apologize, but I think they made him do it. But he was being coddled. There was a player with an arm around him. Oh, poor buddy. And yeah you need to get on him. And I'm sure he'll never do it again. But at the same time, that should never happen. No. And it keeps happening. It's 2 weeks in a row. And every year this happens. It should never happen. But Jonathan Gannon, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go. What were you going to say?
So I'll give DeMarcado credit. After the game, he stood in front of his locker and he took it. Like he kept saying, no, that was my fault. No, that'll never happen again. I'm sorry that I lost the game for my team. He took it. A lot of players wouldn't have done that. They would have tucked their tail and ran, and they wouldn't have talked to the press. They wouldn't have talked to anyone. They'd have just ran out the back door somewhere. I will give him the credit that at least he got dressed. He stood in front of his locker, and he knew he was going to get just absolutely roasted, and he took it.
He did. And I don't think I've ever seen a regular season loss like this in my life. I've seen some bad playoff losses, but I don't think I've ever seen a regular season loss like this. Jonathan Gannon's now 14-25 in 2+ seasons. Do you think it's time to move on from him?
It gives me a little more pause than what it probably should, but he came into a mess. He came into an organization that was really dysfunctional. The general manager before Monty Ossenfort, who was the current general manager, was terrible. Got caught for the DUI. A lot of things that were
that was
field.
So bad, yes.
It was bad. It was bad. It was a laughing stock of an organization. I want to turn the question back on you for a second. So this is his third season, right? Jonathan Gannon's third season.
Yes.
How many? I mean, I think you've got to give a new guy, like if someone took over, like when Sean Payton took over the Broncos, it's a little bit of a different situation, right? You probably give him 2 or 3 years to turn it around, or you move on, because they're still a decent organization. They had some good players. Sean Payton is a proven coach, so he doesn't get as long of a leash as what the new guy does in Jonathan and Drew Petzing and everybody else. So I think you have to give them a little more of a leash. I would give them the rest of this year and probably one more, but that's all I'm giving them. I have to give them a little more of a leash because of what they came into.
But here's the thing, though, that you can't lose that game, and they have not looked as good as they should this year. They haven't.
No,
they should not be 2-3, and this was the easy part of their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They played the Panthers, Saints, and Titans, 3 of the worst teams in the NFL.
Yes.
They won 2 of them, but they lost the Titans, and they lost a home division game to the Seahawks. The one game you could say, okay, at the 49ers they lost. That's the one game of those 4 you can say that's an excusable loss. But the other 4, I would, if I'm a Arizona Cardinal fan or part of the team, the front office, I expect them to win. And I would expect them to be 4-1, at least 3-2. And they're 2-3 and they're 0-2 division. But that was the easy part of their schedule. Here's their final 12 games. I'm going to read them to you.
Okay.
They're at the Colts, Packers at home, at the Cowboys, at the Seahawks, 49ers at home, Jaguars at home, at the Buccaneers. Oh my God. Rams at home, at the Texans, Falcons at home, at the Bengals, at the Rams. Of those games, those 12 games, 2 of them have losing records. And one's the Texans, who are probably better than record 2-3. And the other's the Bengals, who may have Joe Burrow back by then. That is brutal. Do you think, based on the schedule, do you think they're still a playoff team? Because we thought before the season they were going to make the playoffs.
Okay, so I thought they were going to be better than what they are. We both said they had to get out to a strong start, and they have not.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'm going to say they're not going to make the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs, then Jonathan Gannon might lose his job at the end of the season. Because I think everybody was expecting that they were going to be better and they were going to make the playoffs this season. They didn't want him to win the division. They weren't expecting a Super Bowl, but we're expecting 2 more wins or 3 more wins than what they had last year. And if they don't get that, he might not survive the offseason.
And the reason I picked them to make the playoffs is I saw some improvement last year, and I definitely liked their draft. I liked the improvements on defense and free agency in the draft. And I thought the defense was a problem last year. In the middle of the season, it looked like they might win the division, fell off, and the defense just completely fell off. And I thought with the defense improvement, I could see them winning 11 games. 10. I could see that. I thought they were a 10-11 win team based on that. The offense has not been as good as expected, but I did not expect them to be 2-3. And
no,
I agree with what you said. I don't think Jonathan Gannon survives this, and I don't think they make the playoffs. I think they might be a 7-10 team. So
then they might be picking a receiver from ASU.
They might be. They might need to win 4 or 5 games to get him, though, the way he's playing. Okay. Last question before we do a top 10.
Okay.
Right now, you could pick 2 teams, one AFC, one NFC team. For the season, you had Bengals, Buccaneers, obviously Bengals at the Burrow injury. I had Ravens, Packers, obviously Ravens. My God. What 2 teams would you pick right now after week 5?
Well, I'm going to stick with one of those 2 teams that I picked. I went back through and looked at the notes too. So for the NFC, I am going to stick with Tampa Bay.
Okay.
I like them. I'll talk more about them here in a moment when we do our top 10 teams right now.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the AFC, I picked this team last week, and they came through for me over the weekend. So I'm going to stick with them, the Denver Broncos.
They look good. I still want them to have a full, complete game, but they're a leverage play away from being 4-1. Okay. Wait, do I have to answer this question?
Well, I don't know. You wrote the segment, so I guess if you don't really want to, you don't have to. But
oh God, the NFC is really tough. It's really tough. But I'll stick with my Packers. But God, the NFC is there's 4 or 5 teams you could absolutely see doing it. AFC, screw it. Colts. Give me the Colts. I believe in them. Colts, Packers. Yes, Colts, Packers, Super Bowl. Okay. That is the NFL segment today. Are we ready for our top 10?
Oh, we are. And let me prove to you that we're ready.
Okay.
All right, we'll let that go in the background. We'll keep it there. This is, ladies and gentlemen, our top 10. I think I'm going to do, and if you saw it on Twitter, I may do the lights out list from now on. Yeah, I like that. Ooh, the list.
The lights out list.
Yeah.
Just an alliteration there?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh,
if you,
okay.
like I said, if you go back to our Twitter, you'll see. Chris Jericho, one of my favorite WWE people of all time. I have this clipboard right here that he uses in the GIF that I put on the thing earlier. We also got to get to. Don't we have to get to? We had some poll questions and stuff that we didn't get to, right?
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
There's a poll question you put on, but then it ended. I got a couple friends messaging me. I tried to do the poll, but it was over.
Yeah, I didn't think to. I put it up early this time, and I didn't think to extend it when I put it up early. So that was my fault. You know, I can't do everything right. So ask my wife; she'll tell you right away. So let me ask this one. We got over 200 people who viewed this question. Does tonight, so that was last night, of course, does the Monday Night Football win by the Jaguars over the Chiefs change your mind on if the Jaguars can make the NFL playoffs? What do you think about that before we get into our top 10?
Yeah, I mean, it increases their chances big time. Because not only are they 4-1, but if they somehow tie the Chiefs for the last spot, like a 10-7 or whatever, they have the tiebreaker. It's an AFC win. So, increases their chances.
And our fans agree with you. 14.3% said no, and a whopping 85.7% of them.
I missed this poll somehow.
Yes.
I missed it.
Yeah.
Did you put it on your thing? I missed it.
Yeah, it's on our site right now. You can actually still vote on that one. It's got a few more minutes for it left. Now, the one that doesn't have anything, where I called it the X marks the spot poll question for our podcast tonight. If a college football team that is ranked in the top 10 of the AP Top 25 gets beat by an unranked football team, then that ranked team should, and here are your 3 choices, drop double-digit spots, drop between numbers 20 to 25, or drop out of the top 25. So which one would you have voted for, or did you?
I did drop out of the top 25.
All right, and our fans agree with you. Nobody said drop double-digit spots. 20% of our fan base said drop between 20 and 25. And of the 679 people who viewed this particular poll question, most of them, 80%, said drop out of the top 25. So we took care of both of those poll questions. Appreciate those of you who looked at them and voted on them. We thank you very much for that. Before we get into our top 25, I want to give you, if the playoffs started today, let me give you the seedings real quick. In the AFC, yes, I have this.
I haven't looked at this. Okay.
So again, after week 5, which is what we're looking at, our week 6 teams right now. So the number 1 seed in the AFC, the Indianapolis Colts. The wild card rounds would be this: The number 2 seed Buffalo Bills would be host to the number 7 seed New England Patriots. The home team for the second round, or for
We
the
just got
second
to see
playoff
that.
game. Yes,
Real quick, we just got to see that game. It was pretty fun.
we
Anyway,
did. It was a pretty good game.
Yes.
The second game would be the Pittsburgh Steelers would be hosting at number 3 seed, would be hosting the 6th seed Denver Broncos.
Oh.
And for that fourth AFC game there, it would be the 4th seeded Chargers and the 5th seeded Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, if you would flip over to the NFC real quick before we do this top 10 here, the number 1 seed who would get the bye in the first round would be the Philadelphia Eagles. The number 2 seed would be the San Francisco 49ers, and they would be hosting the 7 seed Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, there's 4 teams, all 4-1. I just realized. Okay.
Mhm.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
The number 2 playoff game would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they would be hosting the 6th seeded Seattle Seahawks.
Ooh,
And
that
then
means a
what?
division rival for a 4 or 5
Mhm.
game.
And then wouldn't this be a game? The third playoff game in the NFC would be the 4th seed hosting the 5th seed. It would be at Ford Field, and the Detroit Lions would be hosting the Green Bay Packers.
The Lions are 4-1, tied for best record, but they'd be the 4th seed, I guess, tie break. But the Packers Lions in Detroit, Thanksgiving, they play. So I can't wait for that.
And we talked about this earlier. I think this might be interesting. Thanksgiving Day. Let's jump ahead a little to Thanksgiving Day.
Do it.
The Cincinnati Bengals will play the Baltimore Ravens, and they'll probably have Joe Flacco as their starting quarterback, unless
Oh, is that the night game?
Yes, that's the late game.
And they picked that game because both games were amazing last year. They were shootouts. They were both so close. Baltimore won 2 really close games, so I get why they picked it, but that could be a disaster of a game. Both teams could be completely out of it.
Right?
And I think that I don't know who the Cowboys play. I can't remember, but yeah.
I can find it really quick. I have
Detroit
it
Green
up.
Bay's the early game, and that's the game. That is definitely the game. That could decide the North, even though it's about 6 weeks or about 6 weeks left in the season. But it's interesting. I mean, it'll change, obviously, but God, I really hope it's something similar because those matchups are incredible.
Yes. I'm going to try to find the other Thanksgiving Day game here real quick. I know it's on my Twitter timeline. I'll get to it.
The Tampa
so let's
Seattle
start-
just played too, right? You said Tampa plays Seattle? No,
Yes.
what'd you say? Yeah,
That would be the
they just
playoff.
played as well. Yeah, they just played as well. That was a great game.
It was. By the way, let's throw this out here real quick. Ryan Day made history over the weekend, by the way. I don't know if you saw this.
I did not.
He is the fastest Big Ten coach all time to reach 75 wins. He reached 75 wins in 85 games.
Would be faster if he could beat Michigan.
It would. Leave it up to you. Okay, so Thanksgiving Day. Packers at Lions, 1 p.m. on Fox. Chiefs at Cowboys,
Okay,
4:30
good.
on
Chiefs, that's
CBS
good.
Paramount. And then the night game on NBC and Peacock is the Bengals and the Ravens. So there are your picks for those Thanksgiving Day games.
No, Chiefs Cowboys actually that could be an interesting game as well. So
It could. All right, let's do this top 10, man. We've been having this music on. I think it's gone through like 3 times already, and we still haven't started it yet. So let's do it.
okay, I think our lists will be very different.
I think they are. And I'm the guy. I've got, here. Look at I don't want them to see me cover up everything. You really can't see it. Look at all that writing off to the side. Look at all those stats I got coming up here. But yeah.
That's
Mine are
0
based-
stat.
Yes, mine's based solely on stats, and yours is based solely on an eye test, right?
Yeah, I just went through all the teams. I just kind of looked at the standings, and I thought about offense, defense, and special teams. Broke the tiebreak. Like if I had teams close, that was the tiebreaks. And I just thought, what is the best teams I've seen? Record doesn't matter. Throw a record out there. It's who are the best teams right now, top 10.
All right.
You want to go first?
interesting.
You want me to go first?
I don't care, sir. I will let you decide. You're the football guy.
I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Number 10, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. They would be higher on this list, but they have not played well the last 2 weeks, but they look so good the first 3 weeks. The big problem for them is offensive line injuries. If they can get healthy there, they could move up on this list. But I have Los Angeles Chargers, number 10.
All right. I do not have the Chargers on my list.
Okay.
And starting off number 10 for me are the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are interceptions and sacks. They're 8th and 7th in the league. They only have 2 top 10 stats, and everything else is 20 or below. So they have allowed, they're number 30 in passing allowed. They're number 19 in the rushing allowed. They're 20 in total points allowed and 28th in total rushing yards allowed. They're 28th in the pass, 17th in points, 31st in rushing. Man, that is not a Pittsburgh Steelers team of old. And they are, in total points, they rank 29th in the league. But even though they have a good record, they don't really have very good stats. So that's why I had them start off at number 10.
And I didn't have them in my top 10 because they haven't looked good, even though they're 3-1. So I didn't even put them. If I did a top 15, I don't even know if I'd put them in that, to be honest with you. I don't think I'd have anyone in the AFC North in my top 15. And that's sad.
The changing of the guard, sir.
Injuries, though. Injuries for the Bengals and Ravens.
Yes. Who's your number 9 team?
Oh, yeah, I could do that. My number 9 team is the Seattle Seahawks. Almost put them higher. They just lost the Tampa game. They should have won. But they're a good combo of offense and defense. They have a good offense, good defense, just go around. Their pass defense did get lit up by the Buccaneers, but for the most part, they've been pretty solid. Offense better than expected, so I'll go 9 Seattle Seahawks.
All right, I'm going to shut the music off in the background because I think this thing is doing too much stuff. I've got too many windows open, and I'm shutting off some stuff here so that we can get the better visual of what we're doing here on our, well, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and do it. The lights out list. I like it. Okay. My number 9 team is probably going to be higher on your list because, you just can't help yourself. They are 4th in total rush yards. They have allowed, they're 2nd in rushing yards allowed, and they are 9th in scoring points. Not real great. I don't know what this team is yet because you said it with the Chargers, and I'm going to say it with this team. They've looked really good in some games, and a couple of the games they've played so far, they've just looked terrible. So I don't know which team they are yet. Will the real Green Bay Packers please stand up? And I put them at number 9.
That's way too low.
Okay. Again, I knew you couldn't help yourself. I figured it would be higher on your list.
More on them later. Number 8, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're 4-1, okay? They're going to make the playoffs, very likely win the division. But here's the thing. Here's why I couldn't put them higher. They're 4-1. They could easily be 1-4. They've played really well in the fourth quarter. But they keep playing close games. If they do not draft Emeka Egbuka, they're probably 1-4. He keeps making plays for them, like key plays. He's been unbelievable.
Yes.
More on him in a future video. I'm going to break him down a little more. But number 8, I have Tampa Bay.
All right, I'm excited about this Emeka Egbuka. I'm a big Ohio State guy. I'm a big Egbuka guy. I picked him for Offensive Rookie of the Year way back when.
He's the favorite right now. He has to be, right?
He has to be.
Has to be.
Yes. Yeah. For me, so Steelers were 10, Packers were 9. Number 8, the 8th best team right now in the National Football League, in my opinion, are the Indianapolis Colts. Rushing, they allow, and before you start, they've been blowing people out. Not by the stats, they really haven't been. So they rush for 128.2 yards, but they give up 98.2 yards. Not a lot of difference there. They have been passing for 259.8 yards, but they give up 217 yards. Again, not a big difference between the two. So the totals is 358 to 315. Not a big difference there. Where they have the big difference, and the reason why they made this list, because I actually had to move them up and take the Commanders off this list because I originally had the Commanders in this spot and couldn't do it. They have scored 32.6 average points a game, and they've only given up 17.8. So they've given up a lot of yardage and a lot of rushing yards and passing yards, but yards haven't turned into points, and that's why they keep winning. So for me, I think their luck's going to run out, and the Indianapolis Colts, because of that reason, are number 8.
More on them later. My number 7 is the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champions. They're 4-1.
They're at 7.
Yeah. And I hope you have stats on them. I think they're 30th in yards. Their offense has been terrible.
Yes.
They're 31st in passing. They're 25th in rushing. And I'm not even looking at the stats. I just know that because I was like, their offenses look bad. And I kind of looked them up, and there's issues with AJ Brown not getting enough targets. They've blown 2 huge leads in back-to-back weeks. They were able to hold on against the Buccaneers. They're lucky. If the Rams don't collapse, I mean, CeeDee Lamb doesn't drop balls, they're easily a 2-3 team that's lucky to be 4-1. But they don't turn the ball over. They are the defending champs. They can beat you in so many ways. They've got to get Saquon Barkley going. So I really wanted to not even have them in the top 10, but because of what they've done, I put them 7th. But their offense is bad.
It is, and we will have more stats on them here in just a little bit because I have a lot more. So,
good.
I thought I was bad putting them where I put them because I originally had them much higher, and I was like, nope, they're not.
I have them the fourth highest NFC team.
Yeah. All right, my number 17, because they have done so well against the run, they are 4th in rushing yards allowed. They are 8th in passing yards allowed and 12th in total points allowed. So their defense has been really good. They're 9th in points per game. So they are 9th, and their opponents have been 12th. That's why they're all of a sudden they're doing really well. And here's why I put them at number 7, this stat. Most teams have the stat where they've not allowed a 100-yard rusher. The New England Patriots have not allowed a 50-yard rusher so far this season. So I put them at number 7.
Yeah. You pretty much have to ignore week 1 when they lost the Raiders at home.
Yes.
If you throw that out, they have looked very good this year. I didn't put them in the top 10. I still want to see more. They look great against the Panthers and Bills. They just missed for me, but I get it. They are definitely an up-and-coming team for sure. My number 6, you might have them higher. You probably do. I know you do. I'm going to go with Denver Broncos. Big win against Philadelphia. Could have beaten the Colts with the leverage play. Should be 4-1. Defense is amazing. Pass rush, probably the best pass rush group in the NFL. The problem with them is Bo Nix has been inconsistent. He's looked really good, really bad at times. He was great in the fourth quarter against the Eagles. He outscored the Eagles 18-0. He was so efficient there. So I couldn't put him higher, but yeah, Denver Broncos, my number 16.
My number 6 team has overcome so much as far as injuries go. You know, we're talking about how terrible the Bengals are with their injuries. We're talking about how terrible the Ravens are in their injuries. This team has a ton of injuries, yet I even dug deep into some stats here. They are 4th in time of possession. I like time of possession.
Bengals are last, by the way.
Yes. If you have the ball, it's really hard for the other team to score. Just, FYI. So they are 4th in time of possession. They're 2nd in passing yards, and they're 5th in total yards. They're 6th in points allowed, so they're doing really well there. San Francisco 49ers, believe it or not, have really good stats, even though they have a lot of injuries as well. So I put them as my number 16.
I actually left them off my top 10 because I think they've gotten kind of lucky. They've won a lot of close games that could have gone either way. It's funny. Last year they lost all those early on. That's why they had a bad year. They lost all these. Same thing. A lot of injuries last year as well. Yes. But I just don't love them.
I had to give them credit for what they've done.
Yeah, I get it. But,
and we said this is the best teams right now, so I had to put them on this list.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so my number 10 is the Chargers, 9 Seahawks, 8 Buccaneers, 7 Eagles, 6 Broncos. My number 5 might surprise you, but it's the Buffalo Bills is the number 5 team for me. They have not looked very good the last 3 weeks. They started 2-0. They stole one from the Ravens, looked good against the Jets, but they played the Dolphins and they played, oh God, who was the other team they played? The Saints. And they won those games, but they won by 2 scores. Those teams hung with them most of the game. And I'm like, what's going on in Buffalo? And then they lose at home to the Patriots. They look vulnerable. And they had 3 turnovers. When they start turning the ball over, and they got beat. So the Bills are pretty much, the defense, to me, is vulnerable. The corners aren't that great. If they turn the ball over, they're in trouble in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the offense is amazing, Josh Allen's incredible. I was shocked when I did this list, but I had to put them at 5.
Interesting. All right. So for me, well, I'll review and get to the 5th. So Steelers at 10, Packers at 9 for me, Colts at 8, Patriots 7. The 6th best team right now in the NFL, in my opinion, are the San Francisco 49ers. And I put this team at number 5. You had them at 7, I believe, earlier. And I kept just dropping them and dropping them and dropping them. At first, I had them at 2, and I just kept dropping them down. That is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
I looked up 14 different statistical categories for these teams. For every team, I looked up the same 14 statistical categories. The Philadelphia Eagles have none in the top 10 of any of those 14 categories. Not one.
Wow.
They have none. Hurts only has 889 yards. Saquon Barkley only has 267 yards. Smith is their top receiver, and he only has 272 yards. And they are 30th in total defense. So I dropped them all the way down to number 5. And that's where I put them. And I probably could have dropped them lower, but I decided to leave them at 5.
They are a real surprising team, like I talked about. They're just, but they're a veteran team and they're clutch, and they win most of those close games, but they just lost one. Well, they led 17-3. Yep. But I don't know. I still don't know how they won that game against the Rams. They were down 26-7 in the third quarter. All right, my number 4, you already mentioned them. Like I said, I did about the eye test, and I said the Indianapolis Colts. Their offense is so efficient. Their offensive line doesn't have a weak spot. They have a great group of receivers. Tyler Warren, unbelievable tight end. Could have gone much higher than 14. Maybe it's position. I have no idea. All you have to do is watch like one game at Penn State, and you're like, that guy's got to be like the 5th or 6th pick in the draft. I think I had him 7th on my board. They got an absolute steal. And Jonathan Taylor's looks like the old Jonathan Taylor before injuries. He looks amazing. Mm-hmm. Daniel Jones, as long as he plays well and doesn't make mistakes, that offense is going to be one of the best in the NFL. Love their offense. I love offenses. It kind of reminds me of the Packers about 10, 12 years ago. Their defenses stink, so they won the Super Bowl, but their offense is like there was no weak spot anywhere. And they just always were scoring a ton of points. And that's what the Colts remind me. Defense, they got DeForest Buckner, Latu. It's not a great defense, but I think it's good enough, and they have some playmakers. So number 4, Colts.
Okay. So for me, let me make sure I get this correct here, because I did a lot of moving parts here. So yes, my number 4 team, I don't believe you've mentioned them yet. Another team that started off really high on my list. And as I started looking at them and looking at some other teams, I kept dropping them down. So I dropped them 1 spot above the Eagles, the Detroit Lions. Okay. In scoring, they're 7th in scoring yards, and they're also 7th in total points scored. They are number 1 in rushing yards. So they have that going for them. They're 5th in time of possession. They are 4th in the NFL as far as how many interceptions they have, and they're 2nd in sacks. But they just don't have that big, boom, there's that stat that smacks you in the mouth. They've got some of these smaller stats that they're pretty good at, but they just don't have that one big one that smacks you in the mouth like some of these other teams do. So because of that, I put the Philadelphia Eagles at 5 and the Detroit Lions at 4. And each of us still have our top 3s to go, and I guarantee you they're different from each other.
More in the Lions in the second. Oh wait, more in the Lions now. I had the Lions third. Detroit. What you said about the stats, they're first in rushing. They didn't rush at all. They didn't do anything against Green Bay's defense, and that surprised me a little bit what you said about their stats because they put up so many yards against the Bears and the Bengals.
Mhm.
Two horrible defenses.
Yes.
Of course, they didn't do much against Green Bay. I mean, the Lions are just good. They have a good roster. They're a good team. They're going to have a good record. They're going to be in the playoffs. But yeah, I couldn't put them higher than 3 because, yeah, it's the Lions. They get in the playoffs and Jared Goff might have a bad game. And, I don't love their cornerback room either. So yeah, number 3, I have Detroit Lions.
All right. I
know one of the team you haven't mentioned, but go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
It's all right. It's all right. So I may have messed this up here a minute. Hang on. I'm looking at like I said, I've got stuff all over the place here.
You should have 3 teams left.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done something wrong.
Well, while you're doing that, I just want to say the 72 Dolphins celebrated this past week because now no one will go undefeated this year. So there you go.
That happened quick this year too, where everybody got beat. That happened quick.
It did. I blame Matt LaFleur.
All right, so my next team is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are 8th in time of possession. They're 5th in passing, and they're almost 1. There's not much difference between the first team passing and the 5th team passing. So they pass really well, a 5th. They rush really well, 8th, and they score the 7th highest points of anyone in the NFL. So their offense is clicking. Their defense isn't great, but their offense is clicking. So I put them at number 3.
Okay. My number 2, I don't even know if you put them in the top 10. You might not. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams have really impressed me this year. I think the biggest problem has been Sean McVay's play calling, believe it or not. But Stafford looks good. Puka Nacua is a monster. He's probably going to break the record for catches. Devontae Adams, they have a good offensive line. Kyron Williams, they need to run the ball more. So their offense is good, and their defensive line is incredible. Where they could struggle is at the cornerback room, the secondary in general. But their defense has been better than expected. Yes, they're 3-2. They absolutely blew 2 games they should have won, especially against the Eagles. But just watching the team, even though they're 3-2, I have the Rams as my number 2 team.
All right. Well, believe it or not, we are going to be really similar in at least this.
Okay.
So I do have the Rams, even though they are. I struggled with this because they are 3rd in the NFC West, but they're 1st in passing yards per game, and they're 2nd in overall yards per game. They're also 2nd in total offensive plays per game. They have the 4th highest amount of sacks. So they've got a little bit here and a little bit there, and a lot of their numbers are like 8, 9, and 10. Almost across the board in offense and defense. They're like 8th in this and 9th in that and 10th in this over here. And so they're not like a whole bunch of top 5, but they're a whole bunch of 5 to 10. So they're a step for me above the Detroit Lions, even though both of them kind of have similar numbers. I went ahead and put the Rams at number 2.
Okay. That surprised me, but we had the same number 2. Okay. Let me do my top 10. Number 10 was the Chargers, 9 Seahawks, 8 Buccaneers, 7 Eagles, 6 Broncos, 5 Buffalo Bills, 4 Colts, 3 Lions, 2 Rams, and I think you know who number 1 is going to be. This was tough. Really, the top 5 I could have been in any order. And I know they laid a brick against the Browns and tied the Cowboys, but Dak Prescott is amazing. But I just go back to the Lions and Lions and Commanders games, and Green Bay absolutely dominated those 2 teams. I've never seen the Lions look so bad in the last 3 years. Nobody has completely shut their offense down like that. Jordan Love has looked amazing. The offensive line just needs to get healthy, and they'll run the ball better. But Packers, to me, just have a really good offense and a really, really good defense with Micah Parsons now. So special teams sucks, but other than that, I think it's just the best combo of offense defense in the NFL.
They are not the best combo in offense and defense in the NFL, but I'll tell you who is here in just a second, at least by the stats.
Okay.
So let me set this up, though. Number 10 for me, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 9 is the Green Bay Packers. The Indianapolis Colts come in for me at 8. The Patriots at 7. 49ers at 6. I put the Philadelphia Eagles at 5. The the Lions at 4. Then the Bills, and then the Rams. And my number 1 team, the team that you had in your top 10.
I had him at 6. Yep.
But you didn't have them near as high as I did. And I was afraid we were going to give this away when you were asking me about what teams I would pick, my 2 teams now. That's why I kind of was like, man, I can't believe he's going to ask me that question. And here's why. Let me give you the stats, because that's what I went off of. And you even said it earlier, they're a play away from being 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
They have the 4th highest rushing yards. They score 23.4 points per game, which is 18th, which you think is low. But the problem is they only give up 16.8. That's second best. Their defense is excellent. They are 5th in rushing, and they are 5th in total yards. They're 8th in passing yards, which really surprised me, knowing who their second-year quarterback is. And this is the reason why they are number 1 for me. Here's the stat. They have the most sacks in the NFL with 21, and they have allowed their quarterback the least sacks in the NFL, 4. So their quarterback doesn't get hit, but they hit the other team's quarterback. And as you know, just as well as anybody else does, when you start doing that, it makes them make mistakes. It gives interceptions. It does all those other kind of things. And I think that's why the Denver Broncos, for me, are the best team in the NFL right now.
Wow. Yeah, I get that those stats are impressive, but the quarterback is so important, and Bo Nix has been inconsistent this year and looked really bad in some games. That's why I could not put him in my top 5, but I totally get it. If he plays like he did, if he plays like he did through a stretch last year, last 2/3 of the season, then they'll be fine. Absolutely.
All right. So this has been fun, man. I love doing this stuff with you. Almost 3 hours worth. We're still going strong. Most of our people are still with us. So, man, this has been great today. I appreciate you. Thank you to all of our fans. Again, you guys got us up over the 7,500 mark on X. Last week, when we did our watch-alongs, we had the most views on our YouTube channel for those 2 dates. So we appreciate that. Everything just keeps growing, and it's because of each and every one of you who tune into us every week here on the Lights Out Sports Podcast with myself, Mike Valentine. There is Cheese. Plug your stuff one more time, buddy, before we go.
Follow me on my YouTube channel at Football with Cheese. Cheese spelled C-H-E-E-Z, and on X, just Football Cheese without the width.
All right. Well, there you have it. We appreciate it. Next week, we're going to be doing the AL managerial vacancies. We'll talk about that. We'll have a ton more to talk about because of the games that are going to be going on in the NFL and the games that are going to be going on in college football. We'll be one more round deeper into the Major League Baseball playoffs, and all of that will happen right here with all of you and me and Cheese. Anything else you want to add to the end, buddy?
Yeah. Why didn't you pick the New York Giants or the New York Jets for the top 10? What, you have a New York bias or something like that? You didn't pick
I do, and I can't stand the Yankees either.
Okay. Well, I mean, they are 1-9 combined, the New York
Correct.
team.
At least I'm consistent.
Okay. No, good, fun show. Love doing the top 10. So, good college football weekend. Well, I can't wait to talk about it 1 week from today.
Exactly. All right, sir. Once again, as we always say at the very end of every one of these, you guys know what it is. The only thing that's fair in life is a baseball hit between the third and first base lines. Good evening, everyone. Appreciate each and every one of you.